she hooks up with her dad and his crew. Not like that. Jeez.
Jesus.
Only one case of incest in Star Wars that I'm aware of, okay?
Hey guys, we're the Geek Battalion Vets podcast. Welcome back. If this is your first time listening, we are two veterans and a cop who like to talk about pop culture stuff. That includes movies, TV shows, comic books, Star Trek, Star Wars, Batman, all that good stuff. We're going to get into it today with an Ahsoka mid-season review and some predictions.
Yeah.
That'll be the main topic, but then we've got a few other things to talk about. So with that, I think we will kick off the sit rep.
Well, first of all, who are we?
Oh, yeah, I should introduce us. Good call. I shouldn't have done this on the
on the fly.
On the fly.
Yeah.
Well, I know who you are.
My name is Duncan, and I am joined by these two fucks.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up?
Go ahead and tell them who you are, boys.
Hey, I'm Jimmy.
And I'm B.
Yeah, I'm your resident Army veteran, Army guy, as the Marines like to call us, the Army guys.
I usually refer to you as Army dogs, but that's just
Army dogs.
that's just my thing.
Ouch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Army dogs, as in like we're trash, or
Yeah. I mean,
like
that's
dogs of war.
That's what I mean. I don't know if that's what it comes out as.
Well, when you said Army dog,
I can't
was
control
like,
how you interpret
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I mean.
Yeah, okay, Crayon Eater.
Yeah.
So that means B's the Marine.
Yes.
And I guess that leaves me to be the cop.
Yeah.
So,
Oh wait, don't.
that's
never
okay.
mind.
There's nothing you can say that I haven't heard before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But we're going to
So
talk.
after that bumblefuck of an intro, if you're still here,
Hey, go with what you know.
we're going to get into the sit rep.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I think I got it. Is it D's nuts?
Nope.
No?
Nope,
Oh,
not
damn.
these nuts. It's actually a throwback to one of our other episodes because I was too lazy to do it.
Han jobs?
Hey!
That was actually going to be my guess. And then you said that, I was like, it's got to be Han jobs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quality.
God, I love a Han job.
Good stuff.
job.
Good stuff.
So the sit rep, before we get into it, for those of you who may be listening for the first time or too drunk in the other episodes to have paid attention, the sit rep is where we talk about what we've been up to since the last episode or since we last recorded, get into what we've been watching or listening to or reading or whatever. We also may talk about some news stuff if there's something interesting. But generally, we try and avoid the news because we are pretty bad at it. So
Yeah, we are not a news authority at all,
right.
but we attend to put some news out
Yeah,
there.
there's very little good things
Yeah, the news
get
is
put
bad,
out in the
but
news.
Yeah.
With that being said, who wants to kick it off?
I'll go first.
All right, B.
For a change of pace. So, I don't know if this is like new. I mean, it is what I've done since the last time we recorded. So,
That is the bit.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the bit I'll go with then.
Okay.
Due to the recommendation from our previous episode of Dread,
No way.
I gave her a rewatch.
Me too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Whoa.
I better. I have a better
Okay. I'll take
appreciation of it. Mad props to the Carl Urban. Like, he's great.
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
He's
He's
so
solid.
good in
I
that. Yeah.
still think I see some of the things I didn't like about it the first time.
Sure.
Like, that helmet, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
man.
like how can you see through the X?
I'm not saying it's not cool looking. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's so big and looks ridiculous.
No,
Like, okay,
it's
so
amazing.
It's so bad.
It's
You're,
way
you're
better
out
than
on
the
you're out on
previous.
patrol and you have that X in your face. You can't see anything.
How do you see out of an Iron Man helmet?
I don't know.
It has a heads-up display.
Computer. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Oh,
does
is
the
it-
so does the dread helmet.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
I mean, they have a gun that you can talk to. I assume it has a heads-up display.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty
Yeah.
badass. Also, I didn't realize there was a sequel trilogy connection in there because the hacker guy that works for Mama
Oh yeah.
is Donald Gleason
Yeah,
from the First Order fame.
Yep. He's who's his
First Order.
Oh, okay.
his like
Commandant Hux.
yeah, and then
or
didn't his
something Hux,
dad
General
just
Hux.
appear in the Shadow Council?
Yeah,
Like, it's
I think
played
his
by
dad is Commandant Hux, which is actually played by his brother.
Yeah,
but
played
then
by his
he
brother.
is General Hux.
maybe something like that. I don't know. You should know. I shouldn't. But,
Yeah, but
but you don't. It's
I
okay.
don't. I think I got that right. I think I
Well, I'm glad you
unfucked
didn't.
that.
I didn't like steer you into just another movie you
Hey,
fucking
bro,
hated.
I'm here for you. I told you I'd give it another shot.
I know. And
And,
I'm glad you didn't hate it. is what I'm
and
saying.
Tony's been on my ass about that movie for at least a decade. So
At the very least, like visually, I think it's super interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tons of gore.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I was not prepared for that level of gore.
Yeah.
And then, I'm watching it with the wife, and I was like, oh, this is a lot more gory than I
There's
expected.
people getting their heads blown off.
Yeah,
here,
like,
legitimately.
thrown off of a 200-story
Yeah.
building and just squashed. Like, oh, yeah, okay.
I did. You made one comment on when you were talking about it, where you said like when he first walks into the district, there's
Yeah.
like
a homeless person?
Yeah, bum sitting there in the doorway.
Yeah.
and he's like, "You got till I get back to get out of here." Well, he doesn't take him to jail when he comes back down. A giant gate
Oh,
falls
yeah,
and
that's right.
crushes
That's
him.
right.
And the blood just oozes
Yeah.
out.
He did tell you to move. he
Yeah.
tried to help you, but
Yep.
other than that,
I think my only negative on that movie is there were too many sad-faced, like serious-faced dread moments. Like I would see his face and it would just look like Sylvester Stallone. And
Sure.
Yeah.
I think Carl Urban had to do some pretty impressive acting in that movie. I mean, he's pretty one note, but also he only has like from his upper lip down
Yes.
to do
Yeah.
any sort of emoting or
Yeah.
showing of thought or anything like that. Because like a fucking trooper, he keeps the helmet on the whole time,
whole
which
time.
you
Yeah.
never see in
That's
comic book
terrible,
adaptations
terrible
because they
helmet.
want their shut up. I'm gonna 3D print you one
okay,
because they're fucking awesome.
I didn't say I didn't want one. I just said it's freaking.
I would wear
massive.
that at work. I want one to wear at work.
I mean, you could 3D print some of them dread badges.
Yeah.
Those are pretty.
Yeah, oh yeah, they've got
that
those
was pretty
online.
cool,
I
yeah.
would love a.
But again, I think I was talking to somebody about this the other day that I think it was the helmet that threw me off, that immediately like I can't take anybody serious with you got that thing on. And then they reminded me like, well, it's I mean, it looks exactly like the one in the comics, and that is true, but the one in the comics is much more like form fitting, like it's like a sheet across his head, not this giant bucket that's on his head. So
I suppose it's also a comic book where like
right, where
you can
yeah,
just
you can
draw
get
it
away with that.
way. Like
But it looked better in the comics than it did on his head.
don't know.
It's just too big. I
I'm
don't know.
looking at it
It's-
right now, and I'm looking at the Stallone one, and the Stallone one is so much worse.
But I like how it's like more
Just a slight more
form fitting.
curve.
It's just like a silhouette basically.
but
whereas
see,
his is,
with Carl Urban's, it looks like it has like some actual foam in. You know, like it would protect your head, kind of like a baseball
Yeah.
helmet. Like if you were to catch a
I'm
fucking
not-
fastball to
not
the head,
looking
like
for-
he's not gonna be unconscious.
I'm not looking for the realistic nature of it. I just want it to look cool. You know.
Sure. If I hear you bitch about how something wasn't realistic the next time we talk about some comic book movie, I'm
That's
gonna fucking
fair.
call you on it.
Fair. I hope it's in Star Wars too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, the lightsaber like didn't even. They're so hot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
so
yeah,
what else
so,
did you do?
I don't know.
This turns into a separate dread
I
episode.
don't know how it came to happen, but I ended up downloading a couple of older games. First and foremost, I saw that they remastered Red Dead Redemption for PS5 and the Undead Nightmare. And I guess because I purchased the second one, it was free.
Oh, really?
I get it. I don't know what happened, but it was free, so I
Cool.
downloaded it.
Don't look at
Heck
the
yeah.
horse in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping they did like a total remaster and then added like the I don't know if engine's the right word, but the gameplay aspect of the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. Like, it's straight up the old one just looks better on PS5.
Yeah.
But
That's because that
it's-
requires the least amount of work. Not that
for
that's
sure,
not a lot
for
of work,
sure.
but obviously, like, changing the gameplay would be
Right.
very difficult.
but I'm a dumb guy in a chair. I don't know how any of that works. But I started playing it, and it's still kind of clunky like the old one was. But then I also downloaded. I had only played it on PS4, and because I bought the super special deluxe edition, I was able to download it for free on PS5 as well. But I did Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can't recommend that game enough. Like, it is, especially since you have a 5 now.
Yeah.
You gotta play that game, and we'll talk about some of that game when we get to the Ahsoka portion. But yeah, so good.
There's some very samurai-esque stuff
Oh
in,
yeah.
in Ahsoka
yeah.
that we'll mention, I'm
so
sure.
yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, everything else just sucked. So
Well,
that's
you
it.
bring up like the rehash of Red Dead, and that reminds me of how 343, when they took over for the Halo franchise, they did basically the same thing for Halo Combat Evolved, and they just basically put a new skin on it. And so it looked really fancy, and it was all shiny, and it kind of gave a glimpse into 343's direction that they were going to take Halo. But what was really cool with that feature is you could push select, I think it was, and in time or in real time during the game, you could switch between the original graphics and the new graphics. I always played it on the original graphics because I thought their graphics sucked, and I didn't like that version. But it was cool to be able to do that.
It's kind of crazy to look at, like, old video games you played, like PlayStation era or Nintendo era, like 64, Super, even original Nintendo,
Right.
and how you were just like, this is mind-blowing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the
Dude,
graphics look so good, and then you go back and you're like, I love this still,
Right.
but holy shit.
Link to the Past on Super Nintendo was that for me.
Yeah.
Because Super Nintendo from just regular Nintendo was a huge jump. I realized this is way back when, but now there's better graphics on your phone for those types of games, but still so cool.
I mean, I think the first like real realization of that would be like 007 for me.
Yeah,
'Cause
that was shit.
Yeah.
but
like
at the
when it came
time,
out, like
right.
yeah, it
You're
was
talking about GoldenEye?
GoldenEye
Yeah. Oh,
007.
dude.
Yeah, it was like this is amazing, and then I got to Xbox and I played that, and then I hooked up my old 64 and played 007 again. I was like, oh man, this is
rough.
This is bad.
It takes some getting used
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
I think all the Zelda games are that way for me. They're just huge jumps from one to the next, and I haven't played one since 64 probably.
Breath of the
so-
Wild and Tears of the Kingdom look phenomenal.
Yeah, I haven't played either of
The
them.
graphics on the Switch of what it's able to do is just mind blowing,
Nice.
and what they're able to do for that.
Yeah, that's all I got. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got some things here. No shock here, but Starfield has taken the gaming community by storm.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw the trailer for that, and I know we talked about it last time, but I had no idea what it was.
Yeah,
Looks really freaking cool.
Oh, man.
Really cool.
all the top streamers, they are playing the crap out of that. Dr. Disrespect, he gave it like an 83%, so like there was some of a dip there, but like overall, it's just been like
Is he an actual doctor?
no,
Oh.
no,
Yes.
yeah,
Of disrespect.
of disrespect, yeah.
PhD, motherfucker.
If you don't know who Dr. Disrespect is,
I don't.
he is a crazy character, and he's definitely a character in the sense that this guy plays into this
But
guy.
very famous streamer and
Yeah,
YouTube celebrity, essentially.
Yeah, one of the top streamers in the world, millions and millions of followers, famous for getting Twitch banned, and there's still no like reason why he got banned from Twitch. But so then he switched platforms over to YouTube, and he's still going strong. He's currently making his own game. I can't remember the name of it, but He's like raving about it. He says it's the best FPS ever, so on and so forth. But yeah, check him out, Dr. Disrespect on YouTube. But anyway, back to Starfield. As of yesterday, 8 September, player base is over 6 million, and they had a milestone of 1 million concurrent players. Which is
shit.
Yeah, which is amazing for a game. Like compared to currently one game, Halo Infinite, which has been just doing terrible lately. But their latest concurrent numbers was like 5,000.
That's less.
That's a considerable amount.
I don't even have to take my shoes off to tell you that.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite has just been a dumpster fire as of late, but they're trying to right the wrongs of the past. But I'm going down on a tangent here. Let's see. Oh, Loki season 2. We kind of put some of it out onto our social medias, but season 2 is going to be released on October 6th.
Is it happening still? Because I saw it was on the delay list again, but it's still showing October 6th. So
I don't know for sure because I didn't look into those delays. But as far as I know, it's still happening.
That would suck if it doesn't.
Yeah, I confirmed
that's like my last hope.
It looks good.
It does.
And the first season was good.
Yes.
So,
I mean, we're playing more into the multiverse, which we went into hardcore on our previous episode. But, it looks good. I like the whole idea of the time shift, thing going on there. So that'll be interesting. But to answer your question, I looked this up like 20 minutes before we started going, and it was still confirmed for October 6th.
Okay. Good. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
that'll be definitely something we talk about more.
Unless it's deeper and somewhere else that I didn't see, that's what I saw. Yeah, past the headline probably.
That's right. Nothing but the best research for you out there.
That's what we do here.
Yep.
Okay. TMNT, the Mutant Mayhem. They are set to get a new video game. Based on the new characters, new versions of the characters rather.
Yeah.
Tentative release date is sometime next year in 2024. Should be available on PCs and consoles.
Cool.
Let's see. F1 news for my F1 fans out there. Max Verstappen, he's become the first driver in F1 history to win 10 consecutive races in a row. That's a huge milestone. No other race driver in F1 has ever done that. So pretty cool milestone for him. And Red Bull, they continue to remain unbeaten this season. Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez have been the winners for all the races this year. There's been like 20 some races. So that's pretty impressive for a...
I'll take your word.
Yeah.
I got no idea what you're talking about.
For a manufacturer to be able to do that.
Left.
No, it's it's more than turning left.
Is it a figure eight?
Sometimes they turn slightly right before they turn left again.
But other F1 news, Daniel Ricciardo is still out for the foreseeable future with his broken metacarpal. Apparently, it was his 5th metacarpal on his left hand. He ran into the wall, and basically the bone just shattered because he didn't let go of
What the fuck?
Yeah,
you can't drive with a fucking broken hand.
Well, I mean,
cowboy up.
If you ever seen those cockpits, they're super tiny.
I broke my wrist in a fight with a guy at work, and I was at work for 6 weeks with a broken wrist before I decided I was going to go to the doctor and fucking do anything about it.
Yes, but do you drive a race car at 220 miles an hour?
No, I fucking fight
fired
shitheads
for that.
I mean, I drive that fast, but nobody knows about it.
Yeah. Allegedly.
No, I do it. You just can't fucking prove it. My word alone doesn't mean shit.
That is true. I mean, yeah.
In more ways than one.
All right. Then last of my news here, Godzilla -1. New Godzilla movie coming out. Have either of you seen previews for it?
No.
Is this the one with Kurt Russell?
No.
No.
That's something different.
That's
a
TV
series,
show on
right?
Apple Plus,
Yeah.
or whatever Apple's thing is called.
But yeah, so Godzilla -1, this popped up in my Facebook feed the other day. It looked kind of interesting. But basically, it's set to release in Japan on November 3rd, celebrating the franchise's 70th anniversary, and it will release in the States on 1 December. Basic premise is that following World War II, Godzilla attacks post-war Japan, and it sets it back one step, or -1. So, hence Godzilla -1. It's directed by
I'm bad at math. I don't know what that is, but
It's set to be directed by Takashi Yamaka. Wow,
sorry, everybody.
Takashi Yamazaki. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. He's a critically acclaimed Japanese director, and this is the 37th Godzilla film, and is third on-screen depiction of Godzilla by Yamazaki. It's all in Japanese, so there'll be English subtitles on it. But if you're into Godzilla, because Godzilla was like a big part of my youth growing up, all the old Japanese flicks, I just love watching that, and so I'm excited to see it. I loved Godzilla versus Kong. Did you guys watch that?
I did watch it. It entertained me. It was terrible, but it entertained me.
Yeah, I mean it's a kaiju movie.
It's fine for what it was, but
I enjoyed it. I'm kind of a sucker for that style of movie, but that's all that I've got.
Okay. Let's see. What did I do? Oh, I finally finished this. It's like an hour and a half, but Tales of the Jedi.
Fuck yes.
Holy shit, man. We need more of that.
Yes.
If you're going to bridge the gap and tell stories of how someone got from point A to point B, that's kind of been loosely talked about and stuff, and this could be in any fandom.
Right.
This should be the way that it goes. I don't need, and people are going to be pissed, but I don't need a solo movie.
Right.
I don't need to find out how he got his fucking coat, how he got his last name, how he got his fucking best friend, how he got this, how he got that, how he got this,
yeah.
blah, 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 blah. But knowing why Dooku is Dooku, and I don't want to spoil too much of it because Jimmy was talking about how he wants to watch this and hasn't watched it yet, but holy shit. If you have any interest in Star Wars, I legitimately think this is some of the best of it.
I agree.
It's fucking, it's great.
There's something about that short form, 15 minutes and out, bullshit, all gas.
And it's still okay, so there's two storylines. There's an Ahsoka storyline, there's a Dooku storyline, and they all have an overarching plot that spans the whole 6 or 7 or 8 episodes or whatever it is. But each episode is also a completely perfect, self-contained 3-act narrative done in fucking 15 minutes.
Nice.
Yep.
And it ratchets up the anxiety, it ratchets up the tension, it does everything great. I've talked about how I don't like the Clone Wars animation before. For whatever reason, maybe I just got inundated with it after smashing through Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a lot better here, and I don't know if
it's slightly tweaked, but it's very similar.
But I don't think Dooku looks like a fucking
his hair is definitely different in his face.
But the voice acting again, phenomenal.
Yes. Brings back some great characters.
Liam Neeson
and his son
there.
voices young Qui-Gon.
Yes. So we see Qui-Gon in there without getting into spoilers, but we see Qui-Gon
nice.
When he's younger and he's Dooku's apprentice, so that's pretty cool. But seriously, if you guys haven't watched it, it's a really good companion piece to Ahsoka too.
Yeah, so good.
If you don't want to, like me, I haven't seen all the Rebels. I'm very interested in it now because of what's going on in Ahsoka, and I'm probably going to watch it, but that's going to obviously take me a while to go through 4 seasons.
Right.
You can watch Tales of the Jedi in one day. It's legitimately an hour and a half.
Right.
Total. So
I think that's, you would agree with this, but one of my biggest complaints from Clone Wars and Rebels is there's a good amount of fluff in those 2 shows.
This is all killer, no filler.
Exactly.
Some 41.
Some 41 out
there.
there.
There is moments of those fluff episodes where they give you a nugget of something important.
Yeah.
But the majority of the 22 minutes that you sit through is...
Yeah, out of the four episode droid arc, you get Gregor out of that.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only
D
thing.
Squad is dog shit, but then you get Gregor at the very end. So
sure. You told me to skip that, so I did.
you should. Gregor doesn't matter to you until you watch Rebels, but you should know that he's a Republic commando, from the video game or the books.
Oh, okay.
He's not any of the troopers that we've seen in the show. So
crazy
far.
badass.
It's really cool. But yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I agree. Some of the best and it's like I said, all gas.
It's really good, and like the Ahsoka storyline, again, it gives a lot of good context to the Ahsoka that we're seeing now. Not necessary in any way, but it's if you're trying to get your fix in between episode 4 and episode 5, because we all are. That's some good shit there for you. In line with that, I've been working on some new designs for some merch for the store, specifically some Ahsoka merch. We kind of talked and decided that maybe I should be making some stuff that, like, maybe if you don't want to just wear a shirt that like says Geek Battalion Vets Podcast and have to explain what that is and dox yourself about how you listen to these three fucks.
These three fucks.
Then, like, you could still support the show, and you could support us by getting some other stuff. So I'm working on some designs that are just in reference to stuff we've talked about on the show, stuff that we really like, things like that. So there's some stuff in the works with that right now. Like I said, I've been working on Ahsoka stuff because that's the hot ticket. But some designs I'm pretty excited about and pretty proud of. So keep those in mind as we move through the series.
Kind of on that same note, I just want to give a huge shout out to you, Duncan, for the social media stuff. It's been fantastic. We had a huge milestone.
Baller numbers.
Yeah, baller numbers too.
Yeah, they're great for us, that's for sure.
Like slightly viral, or would you call it viral?
Yeah, I don't know. We had like
I don't know 25,000 people.
Yeah, we had a couple reels that went over 20,000 views and over 1,500 likes, which is way like 10, 15 times more than anything we've ever done. So sometimes even 20 times more than anything we've ever done. So that's pretty great. So thank you everybody for liking and sharing and commenting. And that's been the best part, is there's been a lot of like interaction and people, talking and some people hating Ahsoka and some of the stuff that's happening. Some people really dying for Filoni and thinking he's, the cat's meow. So that's great. That's what, it's okay to have different opinions and to talk about them. Let's just all not be assholes in the comments. That's all that matters.
Yeah, whatever. So. As I'll give credit to both of you, because I had someone tell me the other day that the show just popped up on Google Play for them.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So they didn't search it. They just found it.
Oh,
and started listening, and that is really cool. So
very cool.
Thank you for the love. Like, keep telling your friends and leave us a review. That would also be nice.
If you're curious what our social media is, so you can go follow us.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. What is that?
We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, X, formerly
Twitter.
known as Twitter. Like, it's like the Prince thing with the symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the emails I get from them
the
is
social media platform formerly known as.
Yeah, X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah.
It's always going to be known as Twitter.
We're on all that shit, and our handle on IG and Twitter is at Geek BN Vets. That's at Geek Bravo November Vets. So you can find us that way. And then everything else, you can just search Geek Battalion Vets. As far as merch goes, we also have merch. Like I said, it's available on our Threadless store, which is Geek Battalion Vets, all spelled out, .threadless.com. We already have a ton of designs on there. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Spider-Verse, Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, our unique, hand-drawn, beautifully artistic, not by me, by a great IG artist that I found named Franzastic. Some logos that, he did some great custom characters for us, some stuff like that. So if you're into any of that, check it out. It would be much appreciated. It helps support what we do. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, keep those listens coming. I woke up the other day and checked out our stats, and we had like over 143 listens in one day. So that was amazing.
On the drop day, too. Right?
Yeah, on the drop day. Yeah. So and majority were from New York. So shout out to New York. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. I know nobody there. So.
Not a soul I know over there.
I know a person or two. I actually hung out at a comic book store in upstate New York for like a week when my wife was interviewing for jobs out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, hope it's one of them guys.
Yeah, maybe they
hope COVID didn't kill those guys.
Oh, God.
I mean, not the people, the shop. Is what I meant.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, that would be bad too.
Yeah, I
so.
mean, anyone dying is bad.
Yeah.
I'll finish up my sit rep shit real quick.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
No, you're fine. That's all good stuff. So some of the bigger news that came out was that shock and awe, like everybody's been saying for the last fucking 15 years or however long they've been around, Rotten Tomatoes has been manipulated this entire time.
Yeah, color me surprised.
Weird.
Wow.
People are terrible.
It's insane. But basically the news came out that there's been basically one PR firm that has been manipulating the scores of critical scores of movies on Rotten Tomatoes by just straight up paying money to critics to give better reviews of movies. In some cases, increasing movie percentage scores up to like 20-25%.
Yeah.
Which is a lot because for whatever reason, there are a lot of people that base whether they will go see a movie on the Rotten Tomatoes critical score.
Well, because they promoted themselves as being like a legit rating
and I
service.
I guess I haven't read too much into it, so I could be wrong. And again, we're not a news source, so fuck you. But I still think the audience score is probably the problem. Is you have to tailor what your likes and understand that general audiences maybe not in line with you, but still think that's probably a better representation of a movie's worth, I guess is what I'll say. But anyway, so surprise, Rotten Tomatoes sucks. You can crack that beer, it's fine.
Cracked it. It's cracked.
The other news that I was pretty excited about is that there has been, it seems to be confirmation, but there's nothing official, so it's always this has been confirmed, but it's by like one of those sources that has gotten things right in the past, sort of person, that Robin is going to appear in the Batman sequel, and that it will be Dick Grayson Robin. I've been waiting for a live action depiction of Robin that isn't a 45-year-old guy named Chris O'Donnell. Okay, he's like 29 in that, but
yeah, I was going to say he wasn't
he's
quite that
pretending
old.
to be 17. That's
and
not working.
Even that is fucking weird.
That's
in that
really
movie.
weird.
But anyway, and there were some quotes from Robert Pattinson where he talked about whether he would want Robin to appear, and he said that if we're gonna do a Robin in the future, I don't know if we are, but basically he wants it has to be a kid. He's like, I want it to be a legit like 13-year-old kid because it's way more like fucked up, and you can explore the weirdness of like Batman trying to be a dad but also being Batman, and like bringing a kid into this war on crime because
sounds like child neglect.
Because it is. It's 100%. Batman's not a good dad. Like it's not like that's what I find really interesting. Like in the Batman is that like Bruce is not okay.
Oh no,
he is barely hanging on, and those are some of like I like a wide variety of depictions of Batman, but I also like the idea that like, I mean, you're putting on a costume to dress up like a bat and go out and fight crime, even though you're like the richest dude in the world and you could just solve a lot of problems with your money, because you're just so fucking traumatized and messed up in the head. Like you're at least as crazy as most of the people you're fighting. And I really like that take on it, and I like that we're probably, based on the ending of the Batman, we're probably going to see an evolution of him into a more traditional Batman where he understands that he can't just like beat the ever-living piss out of people and that'll solve all the problems, that he's probably going to have to do a little bit of philanthropy and like feed the Bruce Wayne side of things. But I would really like to see that like he's doing that, and then he sees like, well, this kid like legitimately needs my help, and I have the resources to do that, but maybe I don't have like the mental faculties to do that, and I'm like not okay. But the best part about Robin in the comics is that like he makes Batman better, like as a person. Like he makes him, less violent. He makes him more caring. He sees like a new light in life, like having this kid who's endlessly optimistic despite the terrible trauma that he's gone through and things like that. So I would like to see, like Batman has said in the comics that Dick Grayson, the Robin that they're hopefully putting in the movie, is a clearer version of what Batman was meant to be. Like Batman has always had this idea of what he should be, but he's so fucked up. It's just hard for him to make that a reality. But he like got something right with Dick.
He's got like vigilante ADD.
Sure, I guess he's probably got like, extreme post-traumatic stress and dissociative identity disorder and a lot of other things. But
do you think this is how the new DCU Justice League will be formed? It'd be like a support group for bad dads with Superman and Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
well, that's the talk so the James Gunn, like, because the Batman, the Reeves Batman stuff is not
separate,
is not part of James Gunn. It's obviously the same company, but like it's not going to be part of his new connected universe that he's building with like the new Superman Legacy and Blue Beetle and all those other things he's announced. But they have announced a Batman Brave and the Bold movie that's supposed to be Batman and his son Damian Wayne, who is also like the fourth Robin.
If I'm being honest, that, and I don't know the history like you do, but that version of Robin is more intriguing to me than the other two. The other two kind of have some creepy vibes in there. Like, is he, your ward? Like,
I guess, but like what it comes down to at the end of the day is it's just Batman adopting a kid because
I know,
he
but
doesn't,
still, single guy.
Sure,
it's creepy.
Yeah, I guess. But it would make sense in the context of the Batman because the Riddler, like, showed him how terrible like the Wayne orphanage was. Like his whole thing was like that. His dad set up all of this. There's the Wayne Fund that provides billions of dollars in aid to the city. So he thinks that shit's covered. He's covering the violence aspect of being Batman until he learns that like, oh fuck, like this is all created misappropriated. I'm the one who created this monster. My legacy is the one that created this monster. And so he could be, he could see like, well, I cannot let this kid fall into that system because I haven't fixed it yet, because I can't just openly be like, I've uncovered all this. I'm Batman. I'm Bruce Wayne. Here it is. Like, so what else do I fucking do? I have to like take this kid in. Like it's all I can do. And
he's
not prepared for it.
That's a great point. I think you're right. There is a potential like realistic, like more the grounded base storyline that you can.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like in the Brave and the Bold movie, I'm very excited to see Damian Wayne in comics. The kid is great. He's a little shit. He's going to put fucking Batman through his paces because he's a killer and he just wants to fucking stab people with his katana. Like he's all about just murder. Because he was raised by the League of Assassins.
Old Grandpa Ra's.
Yeah, Grandpa Ra's al Ghul has been training him to be his fucking heir his whole life, and then Batman gets him, and he's like, "You gotta chill out on the killing people. You're like 10."
Yeah.
So, could also be very fun because he develops into a very different character under his time with Batman. But that's a whole side episode probably someday. Last thing I have is that Danny Masterson got 30 years in prison for rape. Fuck that guy. Good for him. Hope he rots in hell. Because
rape is
he
bad.
must have fucking done it if he got 30 years. I'll just tell you, speaking as a cop, that shit is hard to prove. He must have fucking done some shit. They must have had some serious shit on him. I don't know anything about it. I haven't looked into it at all, but that's a hell of a fucking sentence. And
how many convictions?
I thought it was two. Counts.
I knew it was more than one. I didn't know how many.
I'm not entirely sure, but pretty wild.
That's pretty bad.
That's bad news.
Man,
So
30 years too. That's
a long time. I hope he fucking is under the jail.
I'm sure his celebrity will make him real popular in prison.
You got a pretty mouth, Danny. So that was my time in between episodes. So.
Nice. Okay. Well,
shall we?
Is it? I think it's time.
Fall in.
You fall out in that street, or I'm gonna kick your ass right off this fucking planet.
Welcome to the Ahsoka mid-season review.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, is it really the mid-season?
I can't believe you
is
got
it,
that in one
It's only
take.
4 episodes.
Is
I
it?
know. It's like I've done this before, man.
is it Tuesday the actual mid-season?
No, there's
No.
8 episodes total. 4 is half of
Okay.
8.
Okay,
Generally
the way
considered
like
middle.
well, because they're releasing it across the states and select theaters, and they keep calling
know.
it the mid-season release.
I guess. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the second half release, I guess.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that.
Uh,
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But man, how cool would that be?
Oh, I looked. There's
talked
nothing around us.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about a couple of weeks ago. I think we had a mail call submission talking about the shared experience. Like, how fucking cool would that
Yeah.
be? Because there's gonna be
Some something big.
huge moments.
If
Oh,
he's
yeah.
putting it in theaters, if Filoni is putting, because Filoni directed this one.
correct.
Oh.
If he put it in theaters, he knows that there's some cinematic, some fucking cap
Right.
wielding Thor's hammer, moments.
There's
in
gonna be
this.
a legendary Star Wars moment.
Yeah,
in this
I don't know
episode.
exactly what it's going to be, but we're going to get into that in some of our predictions. So
Yeah, I was gonna be like, hey, let's get tickets and let's do like an on-site,
Yeah.
kind of like
something.
something.
Talk
yeah,
to some people, what
Yeah.
they thought. Yeah, that would have been cool. But
yeah,
no
no,
love
it's,
for our particular part of whatever country we may or may not be in.
yeah,
Right?
only 10 cities across the U.S. and we were not selected.
Oh, yeah, that
I
sucks.
thought you said intent cities. across, and I was like, all right, okay,
Oh, well,
all right.
now I want to go a lot
popcorn
less.
better be free, I guess.
So we already talked about episodes 1 and 2 on the show, but to recap, Ahsoka plays Indiana Jones and some other stuff happens, and then we get to episode 3.
Yeah.
Now, so obviously we're introduced to Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, and their rescue. Oh yeah,
Sorry.
Ooh, girl.
We're like Shin Hottie.
Oh, but then they rescue Morgan Elsbeth, who we find out later is a Dathomirian Knight sister, witch.
A force wielding witch.
I take that back. We don't really know that she's from Dathomir, but we know she's one of the.
That's true.
Knight
I
sisters.
feel like maybe they've been burying the lead on that for a purpose.
Maybe, because I thought before this show came out, I had read that she was something else in the she was some bigwig in like the separatist, the CIS.
Well, she has a
side of
she had that
things. Yeah,
large
she has
manufacturing
a shipping
base.
manufacturing company, but she had an operation on Corellia, but we don't know if that's her main base of operations. But
Right.
anyway, so that's more or less episode 1. We're looking for Thrawn. We're looking for Ezra. We get introduced to a couple of the old friends from Rebels, that being Sabine Wren, the Mandalorian, who is a shitty Jedi apprentice, or was at one point, and she comes back to train with Ahsoka because she loses the star map to get to Thrawn and Ezra, and then they do a couple big fights. There's a big fight or two in there.
She has a little duel with Baylan Skoll's apprentice Shin Hati.
Right.
She loses. She gets kind of Qui-Gon Jinned,
She
except
got winged a little bit.
Gets it a little more laterally and survives.
Yeah, I think we've all seen the TikTok doctor video by now, like explaining like why Qui-Gon died versus why all these
That
others.
shit went
Oh
through
yeah,
his
because it
spine.
went through his spine. That's bad.
That's
yeah,
bad.
yeah. Whereas she got hit more like in the.
I mean,
You can
in
live
a
without
blank
Darth Maul's
space.
alive, but anyway, not
Yeah.
now, but like he lived after.
Well,
anyway.
yeah, because just like Palpatine, he survived somehow.
Palpatine somehow.
Way better.
Palpatine
The
is
look-
somehow he's
So much better.
The
You're
the
wrong.
look B just gave
The
me
look
was
B just had was the same look that Poe Dameron had when he said that line.
He's like, "Fuck, are we actually
Are we-
doing this?
really?
We're really
Okay.
sure? Last chance.
All right, roll it. I'm just gonna get it
fuck
out.
Yeah,
Not doing it
yeah.
again.
Is
Get it on the
isn't
first
like-
one.
We
Isn't
also
like-
got Hu Yang, the Jedi architect droid. He's
Yep.
back.
From the Clone Wars.
Yep, from the Clone Wars. He's been great. I really enjoy.
Yeah, total
Yeah.
Hu
dick.
Yang,
Oh, yeah.
voiced by David Tennant. He's funny. He's really great. I've been thinking about making we were talking about how I was making some designs for shirts.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about making a design with Huyang that him just either saying something snarky or like obviously, because that's it keeps being his like.
My suggestion was, you're the worst.
Yeah.
just
You are the worst Padawan I've ever seen. Yeah.
of all the Jedi with Force abilities, you are the worst.
Yeah,
Yep.
but so we find out that Sabine just can't tap into the Force yet. She's still a very skilled warrior and has some instincts to work with there. We get a great training sequence. That's how the third episode starts. So we kind of glazed over the second one, but they end up going to Corellia, to the shipyards there, to investigate some possible Imperial remnant activity.
Right.
And they find out that
Wouldn't you know it? There's people that are still loyal to the Empire.
What? No.
the ineptness
No.
of the New Republic shines through once again. And we find out that they're building the biggest freaking hyperdrive engines ever created.
Yeah.
I don't know how you sneak that in, but they did.
Yeah, General Syndulla is like, wait, we don't have anything that needs hyper engines these big.
And they built like 7 of them. Like,
Yeah.
how do you miss that? But
Because
whatever.
the New Republic is inept.
Exactly.
And there's way too much shit to keep track of.
But then we get into, so we get our first kind of real look at Marok, however we're saying
Merrick?
his name. You know what? I'll get to it later. It doesn't fucking matter.
True that.
Yeah.
So, but he's an inquisitor, I guess. And he does a big fight
He appears to be, yeah.
with Ahsoka on Corellia, and they escape with the hyperdrive, but Chopper, the
War criminal of a droid.
Yeah, just
Suggest
Murderbot 3000 is able to throw a tracking device.
Innocent until proven guilty.
I mean, you got a point, but still, lots and lots of murder.
Yeah.
You'd think the court
Allegedly.
of popular opinion would have crucified him by now, but he's able to get a tracking device on this giant ass hyperdrive, and they figure out where it's going.
The Janab system.
Yeah. What else did I forget? Hera's ass. Did we talk
I
about
knew you were
Hera's
gonna bring
ass?
it up.
we did. Yeah, you
Man,
said it.
Just fills out a flight suit. You know what I
Baby,
mean?
go, but-
That's a fact.
We got to meet an older version of Jace.
Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, yes.
Oh.
Jason Syndulla. Yeah.
Who is the son of Hera and Kanan Jarrus, or Caleb Doom, if you're nasty. But Jedi, if you're nasty.
Yeah.
It's from a Janet Jackson song. It's Janet or Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. No?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
do recognize that now that
Yeah.
you say it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. It feels way weirder to hear you say it now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wish I hadn't asked.
Nasty boys.
I feel uncomfortable
Yeah. I do too. That was
because I have a
weird-
boner. But
feel like you're eyeballing me, dog. All right. We were talking about Hera's ass. How dare you? Like,
Yeah,
just go down this. But anyways, yeah.
so basically, the big reveals that we have in 1 and 2 is that we have a map to Thrawn. Elsbeth is a Night Sister, and that there is some off-screen time that Ahsoka and Sabine spent as master and apprentice. However, they're no longer in that relationship, and they get back to it.
Right.
But basically, Sabine is... I think this is important to mention, that Sabine is in... Like, she's basically in a state of depression. She's let her hair grow out. She's no longer rocking the Mandalorian armor initially.
She's listening to that devil music and
The punk rock.
Yeah.
She's listening to the space punk rock, which is pretty
which
badass.
is awesome. Yeah.
But she skips a whole ceremony where, you know, the rebels are being inducted into, like, essentially not inducted into anything, but
It's
they're
like it's like a celebration.
recognition
day.
ceremony.
yeah, and they're
Yeah.
like they're making the portrait from the end of Rebels like a national monument for the
Right.
planet, for Lothal, and she doesn't feel like a hero is essentially the point. She feels like a failure because Ezra is gone, and she hasn't been able to find him, and she misses her friend, or possibly her wants to be more than friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after the discovery of the star map and her fight with Shinhati and, Ahsoka reappearing and everything, she's kind of reinvigorated and decides that, she's all in on giving this Jedi thing a try and finding Ezra. And then we, like you said, we get to part 3, Time to Fly, where
I'm going to stop you right there because that scene that you just talked about where she kind of makes that transition to I'm whining about what's going on with my life to, all right, time to strap in and get after it. That is almost shot for shot callback to Kanan.
Yes.
Having the transition to I'm not a knight anymore. It's time to be a master.
Yeah.
And he does the same thing with the blade. And then he cuts his little ponytail.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Uses
that
a
is right.
knife
Yeah.
to cut his ponytail.
And becomes that next level.
Which is a very cool, samurai.
Yes.
I don't want to say pastiche, but homage to like classic samurai media and things like that. Which it's
we'll get into
cool.
that a
very
little bit more
done.
later. But so I cut you off. But we're in episode 3. We start off with the training sequence.
Yeah.
That we
And
talked about.
Sabine is training with Hu Yang, who apparently has 4 arms. I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's
but
got a couple in that backpack.
got a couple of
yeah.
weird shoulder
Yeah.
backpack arms,
Yeah.
and he's got some cool little faux lightsabers that track where you swing your boken or bakken or whatever it is, your wooden fake
Your
lightsaber.
training lightsaber.
And Sabine is not doing so hot. She's a
Terrible.
little rusty.
I wouldn't say it's terrible. He says
He says it's not
fine.
good, but it's
Yeah.
not, or it's not bad, but it's not good
not
either.
good, but not bad. So you're fine.
But Ahsoka decides to step it up. I really like this moment.
Or,
and there's
or didn't he say it's not good, it's not bad, but you'd still be dead? I
think
thought he
so.
said something like
No.
that.
not
I don't
bad,
think
and then
so.
it says not good either. But so Ahsoka decides to step it up, and like I said, I really like this moment. And there's they do some cool stuff with the sound editing and the way that Ahsoka moves around her. But they do, I think it's the technique she calls it, or the training is Zatrochi. But it's basically where it's a callback to A New Hope, where Luke puts on the
Blast shield
blast
helmet.
shield on the helmet, and he can't see, and he has to use the Force to guide him. And so she has Sabine put on a face shield and try and sense Ahsoka's movements and her attack and where she's going to be. And I thought this was a really fun character building moment for both of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Really, it shows a lot of Ahsoka's mastery in that, she is very nonchalantly she's fighting a blind person, so
Right.
it's whatever.
but she's whooping her ass.
But she's
Yeah.
but she's also masterful in her approach and how she does it, and she's not beating the shit out of Sabine.
Right.
She's it's a touch on the shoulder, it's a touch on the leg with the fake lightsaber, the practice lightsaber, that sort of stuff, and then a lesson at the end there. There is one thing I have a problem with in this whole scene is the practice area is also a table that comes up out of the
floor.
ground.
Yeah.
So they're just sweating all over
Yeah.
this fucking
Like,
table and laying
I
all over
stepped in dog
their
shit
bare
earlier,
feet.
and-
and then the table just rises up and nobody's fucking wiping it down. They're just eating at it, drinking at it like it's fucking. There's some weird shit out in space.
You got some OCD issues to get over here.
I would say
no.
I would say maybe they have the technology that there's a barrier in place.
Having been in
Yeah.
the military, I can tell you that whatever job skill you are trained on and however proficient you may be in that, the one thing from my time in the Marine Corps that I can honestly tell you that I also mastered was mopping and buffing a floor. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
just
true.
because you don't see it doesn't mean it ain't happening. I'm telling you.
It's part of her wax on, wax on
exactly.
training.
She's doing
yeah.
some Mr. Miyagi shit in the background.
Yeah.
So.
yeah.
But anyway, but Ahsoka, so there's been some people that are kind of pissed off with the fact that maybe Sabine is going to be a Jedi and Force user sort of thing.
Well, they can just fuck right off in that direction.
I guess tell me that. Who's pissed off about it?
I don't know. There's always people.
Oh, you
pissed
mean
off
on
about
the internet?
something. Yeah,
I thought you meant in the show.
No,
I'm like,
no, not in the show.
Okay.
But I just mean like there's always people pissed off about things about Star Wars.
Sure.
No matter how great it is
Yeah.
or how bad it is, there's going to be
Yeah.
people who hate
Oh
it.
man, the Star Wars forums after this last episode, they have just gone stupid, and
But
yeah,
as far
it's
as
stupid.
Sabine goes, they're kind of getting into some like really George Lucas interpretations of the
for
Force,
sure.
which is really cool, and it's something that like I find very interesting in the sense that we're like they've said from the beginning that the Force is a part of everybody. It flows
Right.
through everything. It binds us. It penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. Like we get that from the Alec Guinness speech in A New Hope. I thought you were gonna do
I
the
thought you
DJ
were too.
buzzer
You're way
'cause
late on that,
on the
homie.
penetration thing. Anyway,
right over my head.
Yep. So it's really interesting to me to see them approach a character who has no innate talent to be connected to the Force and use Force abilities, and see if maybe they can develop a connection through practice and
I think
teaching.
I think there had to be something that Ahsoka saw there, and maybe it's just her skill as a warrior, as a Mandalorian. I feel like Ahsoka's not going to say like you have zero talent for this.
No, but she also, I don't think Ahsoka is necessarily, she says she doesn't need Sabine to be a Jedi. She just
Right.
needs her to be herself. And I think maybe she saw training, and we don't know because we haven't seen it, but maybe saw training Sabine as a way to help her cope with Ezra being gone
That's fair.
and everything like that.
She's just doing a
But-
friend a solid to
Yeah.
try to help her
and
out.
but and is just being straight up like, if you're gonna do this, you got to do this, and not everybody has the discipline to do this. Even the most talented people, it's still your discipline and your your practice that determines how successful you will be. So I'm just interested to see where they go with that storyline, and we see
Well, so
an interesting development in episode 4, I would say.
So along with Sabine being Force sensitive, a lot of people overlook what happens in Rebels, where Kanan is training Sabine with the saber, with the dark saber, and he's having a conversation with, I think, Hera, and she's like, "Why are you training Sabine? She doesn't seem to be Force sensitive." And he's like, "No, she's just closed off."
You have to be open to it.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing right now. So I think that leads it open to that she has the ability. She's just so closed off. And I think we touched on a little bit too in a previous episode, but because it could be through her Mandalorian upbringing, like, hey, it's very strict. This is how you approach weapons fighting, and so on and so forth. So I think that's part of that. And but I'm anxious and willing to see where Filoni takes this.
Kanan basically says, the Force, he says the same thing that Ahsoka says. Like, the Force flows through all
Yeah.
of us. The Force is in all of us. You
Yeah.
just have to be open to it.
Right.
And so I think, I don't know if Filoni's been planning to make Sabine, or if he always thought that was maybe a thread that he wanted to pull on. But either way, like I said, I'm down for it.
Like I
And-
said, I think he's, like you said, he's playing hollow chess. Like, I think
Yeah.
he's had these ideas in place for a long time. And the notes that I had for that scene, and I'll give credit to our sometimes co-host, Tony, but he threw out at me that he thinks Sabine will tap into the dark side at some point. And so I'm going to take that, and this is based solely on this episode. So episode 3, I'm going to take that and I'm going to spin it a little bit and say, I think Sabine will eventually become a Jedi, and I think she's going to build a new darksaber. Because remember, she is House
He's a descendant
Vizsla.
of Tar Vizsla.
That's right. The original Mandalorian Jedi
Yes.
that created the
The first.
darksaber. And if you remember, at the end of Mandalorian season 3, Moff Gideon destroys the darksaber.
Right.
It does, yeah.
But we don't know if that crystal's still hanging around.
Sure.
And who knows? And I'll get into this more. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it now just so I don't forget. But I think because of the way that they're approaching Sabine's character as in this in this training and what would fit more with her Mandalorian upbringing and the person that she is and everything she's going through, the Darksaber makes so much sense. Yeah. And you think about it, the Darksaber was not created by a Sith. It was created by a Mandalorian Jedi. And we've talked about this before. The Force feeds off your essence and affects the crystal to make the color of the blade that you wield.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I did hear somebody say the other day of like, what about in the Coliseum scene in Attack of the Clones where they just have some spare lightsabers that they throw Anakin and Obi-Wan in their different colors. And they're like, well, shut up. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Just move on. Maybe they were just in that zone that particular time, okay? Yeah. But I think the darkness within Sabine, which is going to come to a head, I think, at some point, would translate well to her having the dark saber.
I think maybe that in seeing episode 4 now and seeing and thinking back as we're doing this whole kind of overview of the first 4, that during that training scene, like there's a moment where Sabine shows some real promise and senses where Ahsoka's attack is coming from and ultimately gets owned, but she has a couple of good parries and strikes in there, and Ahsoka says anger and frustration are quick to give power, but they also unbalance you.
Exactly.
Which is a straight up a dark side, like, hey, beware of the dark side is what I'm telling you. Like, you know, if you give in to that anger and frustration or fear, then you're gonna be unbalanced and you're more likely to follow the dark side. And as we see in episode 4, there's some fear that leads her maybe down that path.
I'll add to that when she showed that talent was in the fight, because there's another moment in episode 3 where she's like, just come on, just move the cup, just move a cup. And she can't do it. It's kicking her ass up and down the block. Can't move this tiny ass cup.
I think that what we will see, like you said, we will see her briefly or maybe more prolonged, but she will give in to the dark side. And she will, and it will be in a fighting capacity because that's where her skill truly is as a warrior.
Similar Cal Kestis and Jedi Survivor.
Sure, maybe, yeah. And we see, but as you, it's like, I can do this in a fight. Maybe now I can do this in a more peaceful manner and the more traditional Jedi abilities of Force use.
I can already see the scene in my head where it clicks, where she's going to have to save or sacrifice herself for one of her friends, and she's going to grab a lightsaber from across the room, and that's how it's going to...
Speaking of Kanan, I know if you haven't seen Rebels, like I haven't, this might be a spoiler for you, but you've probably seen it. Like Kanan dies. He sacrifices himself to save everybody.
And if you haven't seen Rebels, we're going to spoil it for you when we talk about the next episode anyway. So,
but I think with maybe some of the parallels that they're doing with Sabine, I hope they don't kill Sabine, but I think it could be possible that she does a sacrifice play or
I don't think so. I think you're right. Someone will. But I think because of her lineage,
you also think that just because she's super popular, like she's a Mandalorian that she sells toys and she's gonna
but I also think this is one of Filoni's babies. Like he brought.
Well, that doesn't mean that you can't.
I know that, but I think he's got big plans for her, and I don't think it's a sacrifice.
Sometimes you have a perfect arc for a character, and
you
flesh it out, and it's like.
As we will talk about, I've been wrong many, many times.
And I'm not saying that you're going to be necessarily.
I mean, if you're looking for a character death, maybe like they officially bring Ezra back and he is the death.
Yeah, I'd probably
we get him back, and
I think a lot of people would be grumpy on that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would put money on that.
So let's get into episode 4 so we can truly talk about.
The last thing I want to say about that scene, that scene is they basically Hu Yang and Ahsoka are saying it requires discipline to tap in the Force.
Yeah,
and so apparently Moff Gideon just ain't trying hard enough. Like, get your shit together. You can do it, big guy. Keep trying.
Yeah, I mean there is some. I think you could probably explain that in a way, like, that even though he's probably Moff Gideon would obviously happily give in to the dark side, right?
Sure.
Oh,
he
yeah.
In fact,
would have
that's probably what he wants.
Right.
Yeah.
He would have no problem using anger and frustration and fear and whatever to gain power, like the typical dark side user, or use those emotions to build that power. But there, like Ahsoka says, there is, talent requirement, or talent is a big part of it, but the discipline part of it. And I think just because we all know bosses and administrators and generals or moffs or whatever we want to call them, who have zero discipline. They are not
Right.
the guy.
Right.
Like they are not the person that is, and that's why he loses that fight. Like he has a fucking Mandalorian power suit that can
Right.
easily destroy everyone else in that fight, and he's cocky and he's overconfident and he's a fucking idiot.
And he
because
monologues. He never monologues.
He monologues and he has a cape, and we know you don't wear capes.
Capes are
but
pretty fucking cool.
so does the Mandalorian. But anyway, it's just, I think that speaks to, like, if we saw, I'm trying to not dox myself here, so let me think. If we saw, for instance, an officer or person with rank who just was never that person, like they got promoted because they're good at the admin side of things, they're good at schedules and the other bullshit that is necessary but is not what being either a soldier or a Marine or a cop is really about.
Right.
And then they get put into the situation where they think they have the upper hand because they have a bigger gun, or they have this suit of armor. Like,
sort of
it
like,
doesn't mean that you're gonna win the fight.
And we've all seen Band of Brothers.
No, but I don't know.
Oh,
We've talked about that.
well, there's this West Point Lieutenant Dyke. He gets put into his name
It's
is
Ross from Friends. So
No.
Wait.
No, you're
one's-
thinking of from the beginning.
Just go with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
So
interrupted.
Lieutenant Dyke, they're at the Battle of the Bulge, and they're storming a village. And this lieutenant has no idea what the hell he's doing, but he's a lieutenant and he's in charge of all these troops. So it kind of along those parallels.
So, so what I'm saying is sometimes the people in charge of things, like they have no discipline, and for lack of a better term, or to beat this metaphor to death, like Sabine is more of she's a grunt. She's like doing the work. She's
a
been in
warrior.
the shit.
Yeah.
She is a true warrior. Whether she was ever, gets promoted or leads her people or does anything like that, like she does nothing to prove. She's done her shit, and she can hold her own in a fight, and she knows something about true Mandalorian discipline. And even in her, like, depression and forsaking the armor and the Jedi training, like she still whoops fucking ass. And she gets beat by Shinhati, but like, I mean, you win some, you lose some. So
I also think it would be really cool for her to go down that route to the dark side and then be redeemed and come back to Ahsoka at some point, because I'm racking my brain here, but in the visual media strictly, so the movies, the cartoons, and the TV shows that we've had, I can only think of maybe one Force user that we saw that started out as a Darksider, and the only one I can think of is Savage Opress. That's the only one I can think of, because you think of like
you're saying that people start as a
Jedi,
light side and fall to the dark side.
Right. So
Okay,
we've
I
never
see.
seen the converse of that.
Right.
So I think that would be badass.
But I also think Ahsoka would be very apt to accept
I agree.
Sabine back because of her past with Anakin.
Right. And think that,
And the
I
guilt
can
that
I
she
can
holds with
change
that.
that. And then the stain, for lack of a better word, for coming back is the Darksaber that
Right.
I can't let go of that darkness like Mace Windu. I gotta
But I'm
hone
gonna use it.
Yeah. But know that I walked the line.
Right.
I think that's cool. But so
Yeah.
there's
So
a
let's-
ton on one scene, but
let's
there's
get
more
into-
that happened in that episode.
Let's get into
Episode 3, there's still
there's-
a lot of.
I have a big complaint, and it kind of happens at the end. But basically, so after the training sequence, they're kind of in a holding pattern, waiting to this to see if the New Republic is going to give them some support.
They're on their way to where the tracker landed in the Denab system, outside of a planet called Cetos.
Right. So they're waiting to hear from the newly appointed Chancellor of the New Republic, Mon Mothma, who is return from the Andor series, which I think is awesome. I love that connectivity and
she's good. She was great in Andor.
Yeah, there wasn't too many weak points in Andor, which we'll talk about that another day. But in that little council there's this dickhead Senator Ziono. And I can't remember if they say where he's from, but the main character from the cartoon Star Wars Resistance, which is sequel trilogy. I don't think it's his son. I think it's his nephew.
Oh, okay.
But they're from Hosnian Prime, and Hosnian Prime is the system that gets destroyed by Star Killer Base in The Force Awakens. Yeah, that's the name of it. But yeah, so I thought that was cool, and I didn't catch that until like the second time I watched that. Like, oh fuck yeah, that's what that is. But so they end up saying, screw it, we're going to the Denab system with or without you. And I think their plan was Hera was going to meet him there, and then Hera calls back and says like,
I ain't coming, and neither is the fleet.
We're not coming. Sorry, you're on your own. So they get there. There's a sweet ass dogfight with some new fighter ships.
Old fighter ships, I would say. Like we haven't seen them before.
We've never seen them before.
But they're
very
clearly
World War II esque.
Yeah, they're clearly like Clone Wars era. Tech that like Baylan and Shin would have had access to from then, because that's probably when they disappeared. But like they have the same headsets that Anakin and Obi-Wan
wore, and the interceptors. Yep.
Yes. So.
But the ships themselves, really cool designs, very heavily based on World War II era fighters.
Yes.
Really cool. So they do a big space dogfight, and
Ahsoka's T6 gets
it's not doing so hot.
It gets disabled, essentially. It's dead in the air.
And then for whatever reason, because of course the guns went down, Ahsoka has to put on a spacesuit and
does it in 2 seconds.
Go outside.
I don't give a fuck about that. There's a lot of people complaining about that.
I don't care about the suit. I mean, you would have to address
tailored
that.
like to everything.
It's tailored to you too. So
like her all of her tendrils and everything.
Or what are you supposed to do? Just shove it in the sleeve? Like you don't really have an option.
First time she's done this.
You're right. She's been underwater too.
Well, this has happened with her at least once, and with other Jedi that we've seen. We've seen Plo Koon do it, and
apparently he doesn't need them. He just,
we saw. He has like an apparatus,
a respirator.
We saw her and Anakin do this in the Clone Wars before. I mean,
it just looks,
and everybody has gravity boots on for all you people worried about the fucking gravity.
I don't care about.
Also, who the fuck cares about physics in Star Wars?
You're the
wrong kind of
has
nerd.
physics ever played a part in Star Wars?
I thought it was cool that like, we're screwed. We're sitting ducks. They're gonna blow us up. So what other choice do you have? But the spacewalk thing was a bit hokey. Whatever.
I loved it.
I thought it was awesome. It gave me chills
because it shows how in touch with the Force she is. Like, in order to do those jumps and dodge the planes, like, you have to know the timing. You have to sense everything about it. If you're a millisecond off, you're either floating off into nowhere or you're dead.
And then she's like deflecting the blaster bolts with her saber too, and those are coming off of a ship.
A little more higher powered.
But again, what the fuck is higher power? Like, they're all.
I don't know.
Nobody knows what the fuck they are. Kylo Ren's stopping them with his hands and shit. Like, it is.
Look,
what it is.
I've already established it's very important for me for stuff to be realistic. In these fantasy movies, okay?
But there have been, at least like from comments that I saw, there are people complaining like, well, the caliber of blaster on ships would be, and why didn't they just shoot the ship? And because that's how the story went. That's just how it went. Okay.
Because if you kill her right here, there is no more series.
It's going to be a boring 3 more episodes, whatever.
But it would be kind of funny if Sabine didn't get the ship fixed and Ahsoka's like, fuck, I jumped off the ship and I'll just float here for a while. But anyways, that I had to say that.
Yeah, that was an awesome scene. You made a reel on it. You said Anakin would be proud.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
100%.
That's a full blown.
Oh yeah, he would
plan.
definitely do that.
That's
shit.
some dumbass shit that Anakin would do, and he wouldn't even fucking think
like,
twice about
this will
it. Just
totally
like her.
work.
Yeah.
I got this.
He wouldn't think that far. He'd just be like, I have an idea. I'll go outside.
Doggone hunt. Doggone hunt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Also, there's a fun moment with Shin Hati and Morgan Elsbeth there, because Morgan's at their big hyperspace ring.
Right.
It's equipped with turbo lasers. And so she starts shooting at the T6, and I think she's the one that actually disables it initially.
Yeah.
And Shin Hati is like, Morgan, congratulations. You almost had them.
yeah.
I have them in my sights
Yeah.
now. And then
I
goes
got
and like
this
tries
shit.
to track him down. It was just like, ooh,
Yeah, you guys.
you're like more of an evil type of person than Balin in my mind. Like you're more of a twisted little.
The part that really took me out of that scene was Sabine's manning the rear gunner, and Ahsoka's flying the ship up front, and I don't know why, but Rosario Dawson is the least convincing actor to show me that she's flying a spaceship. Well, my son and I I took my family to Florida last year for vacation, and we did one day at Galaxy's Edge.
So you did
and we went on the Millennium Falcon ride.
Yeah.
And we were far more convincing of flying that thing, because she's like, yeah, I'll just stand up and screw a knob over here and maybe walk over here and flip. Just fly the damn ship.
We have talked about this. I think Ahsoka is probably the least compelling part of this show called Ahsoka.
I agree, and I
like her.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, but there are still enough moments where she takes me out of it that other people do not.
I agree,
do the
and I
same.
think
lot of foreboding or brooding.
she's very
Yeah.
stoic.
That's what they're trying to do, but it
I think
sometimes
the
it's
reason
just,
for that, and I think when myself included, when I heard that they're doing an Ahsoka show, most of my Ahsoka memories come from the Clone Wars, because she's a very, very minimal character in Rebels.
Yeah.
She's got
Yeah.
some huge scenes.
huge scenes,
but
yeah.
very
It's a big
few
impact, but,
episodes that she's actually in.
Right.
And but Rosario Dawson is playing that character. She's
Right.
playing probably the PTSD. She's seen some shit, and she's grown. She knows exactly who she is, and she ain't got time to fuck off anymore. Like
Yeah.
she's
she's
all
not
business.
as not as snippy.
Yeah, so she doesn't have the personality that the Ahsoka that we watched grow up did. And do any of us? I mean, like, it sucks
I'm way
to
more
say.
fucked up than I was when I was a kid, so.
Yeah. But way more fun too. So
I don't know about that.
but yeah, so that's the episode ends with they get the ship back online before they get blown up, which didn't really make much sense to me,
Who
but
Fucking cares.
whatever. They land, and because the trees are red and the ship's red, they can't see them.
Well, and they power down
because they got the shitty
They
radar.
even power down Hu Yang, so there's no signature.
But then
it follows Star Wars logic.
exactly.
And how the fuck are you supposed to look down in those ships?
I mean,
You can't see
because we were inverted.
because we're inverted.
It was from Top Gun, man.
Oh, okay.
Greetings, come on.
I'm sure there's a camera that shows them the underside view. And
I don't know because I saw
There's
there's one
sensors
scene
and-
where they disappear through the Purgle because there's Purgle and so we see.
Oh
a
yeah,
fuck ton of
they're
Purgle.
flying through the and they're
I could
Purgle
have
everywhere.
done
Sabine
without
uses-
that. I didn't really care about that.
I liked it, but Sabine uses them to basically cover their escape.
Right.
They're
But there's a
huge,
moment
by the way.
where Shin is like, "Where'd they go?" And she doesn't look at a screen. She tries to look over her shoulder and leans awkwardly out to look out the side windshield, and it's just like, oh, you can't see shit in these things.
Yeah,
no wonder
maybe
you're-
that one didn't have a
You're also
camera.
flying
Hit me,
clouds. Yeah. But whatever. So they land, they make it to Cedos, and we get just another very brief scene with Balin Skull. And I was going to talk about it more in episode 4, but Ray is stealing the show, man. He is so good.
We have to talk about it more in episode
and we
4.
will. But That pretty much wraps it up.
He ends the episode with Balin sending a party to find them and kill them.
And he goes on a rant about it'd be a shame to have to kill Ahsoka Tano because so few Jedi left. And then they kind of hint at what his plans are once they find Thrawn. And they don't really give us anything, but he talks about, for them, it's going to be a power that they can't possibly imagine. So what does that mean? Is he going to start a new order in this new galaxy and not tell them, like, I was kind of the bad guy where I came from, but here I'm going to bring back a better Jedi order? I don't know.
I mean, he's not fully evil. I mean, we see that through his orange saber, so he's not fully
and I
dark
think
side.
He very clearly portrays a person who is torn.
Oh yeah, you see it. Yeah,
I think he knows the things that he doesn't deserve.
I'm damned for what I've done.
Exactly.
Yeah, he even said that, right?
No, that's from Andor. That's what Luthen says.
Right.
Oh, okay. I feel like he said something like that.
And that goes back to what I talked about. I think I talked about it in the QRF, and then I know we talked about it in the last couple episodes. But the Norse mythology wolves chasing the light and chasing the dark. Which one is chasing what? And I think more and more that Balin is chasing the light. He's trying to redeem himself for all the terrible things he's done and is still doing.
Yeah.
And Shin Hati just wants that darkness.
Well, and I think he has, I think he has a somewhat twisted logic to, the ends justify the means here.
I agree.
Type thing, which he gets into in episode 4. So we want to get into episode 4.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing last thing I'll say about episode 3 is it's way too short. We're getting into those random run times.
Damn it.
27 minutes, I think it was.
I think it was
34.
34.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's like with credits. So probably closer to like 30.
It's frustrating.
The content has been so good that I haven't been too upset about it, but I really hate the inconsistency. Like, what do we want? Do we want it's a 45 minutes to an hour every time, but there's like 20 minutes of just fluff that doesn't move the story?
I would be okay with half an hour episodes, but just don't give me a couple of hour episodes and then I get to a half an hour episode.
Don't
I'm like,
tease me.
What the fuck?
Don't tease me.
This isn't cool.
Yeah. So,
or maybe more.
Jimmy, did you have anything else before we moved to episode 4?
No, that's my final thought on episode 3.
I've enjoyed the show up to this point.
Oh, and now you don't.
But
I can't believe it.
Episode 4 kicked it into hyperdrive.
There are people.
I was like,
the internet has been fucking
and
raving.
I don't
like this is the best Star Wars that we've gotten since Lucasfilm sold to Disney. Like,
I will tell you right now, this is the best. The lightsaber fights that we've gotten in this show are the best we've seen since the prequels. And,
probably, yeah.
The prequels, obviously, that much more acrobatic style. These are better than that, I think.
Really?
I do, and we'll get into it when we get to the actual
I think there's
scene,
some preference, like personal preference when it comes to that
I
sort
agree.
of thing.
But the one thing that has been universal that I've seen, and I've seen the hate for the show, for the episode, but the one universal thing throughout all of this has been Balin Skull and Ray Stevenson, and
are fucking amazing.
It's gonna kill me when they get rid of the character.
Yeah.
Hopefully in this season, but I think it has to happen. I don't want him recast. I don't want him to have to wear a
just
helmet.
hanging out there. Like, I don't want to just be like.
It's not. Ray has been so good.
I really hope that Dave Filoni just has a good arc planned for him, and that
I trust that he does.
He was supposed to be a character for this show, really, and that's about it. But
I'm hoping that Balin is
really
the
is
balance that keeps Shin leashed, like tethered a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when he dies, she's gonna go
full on crazy,
just nuts.
Yeah.
So,
based on what we see in this episode, I think Shin is.
She's well on her way.
She's fucking razor's edge.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, she is just one fucking step away from not listening to him, to telling Morgan to fuck off, and just fucking going ape shit, I think.
Right.
Yeah, you see that a little bit of contention too. Like Balin tells her to do something and she like kind of pips back a little bit.
No, not really with him. She doesn't like being told what to do by Morgan.
Well, there's a moment though when they're in hologram form, I think it's at the end of episode 2, where they're talking about if we're here, Ahsoka's coming.
Right.
And Shin's like, we made a clean getaway. There's no way she could have followed us. And he looks at her like, you best shut the fuck up right now. Like, the grown-ups are talking. I know what I'm fucking talking about. Like, I get that you think you did things right, but chill the fuck out.
But again, I don't think she was directing that rage towards Balin. She was pissed that Morgan implied that she fucked
but I still
something
think
up.
like he's like, you're stepping out of line.
Right. And he shut her down right there. And she's like, oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. But so episode 4, titled The Fallen Jedi, which, holy
Who
shit.
is this talking about?
And all the episode titles thus far have kind of been that way. Like, so ambiguous.
Master
We don't
and Apprentice
know.
was the first episode. It can refer to Balin and Shin.
Right.
It could refer to Ahsoka and Sabine.
Toil and Trouble, the second. And the third was
Time to Fly.
Time to Fly. Again,
Yeah.
who are we talking about?
Right.
In 3, I kind of lean towards Hera. It's time for Hera to get in the fight, which was my argument. But it also was
also Sabine.
It also showed Sabine trying to
literally flying, and for Ahsoka kind of giving up the whole this has to be a lesson and trusting Sabine and giving her what she needs to take out the ships. And so
episode 4, The Fallen Jedi, we start off with them chilling in the ship, hiding in the forest, knowing that they're probably gonna get into a conflict here soon. And there's a great conversation between Ahsoka and Sabine, and Ahsoka's outside knowing that
bad guys are coming.
The bad guys are on their way, and I'm summing this all up, but Ahsoka says, it's possible that the best outcome in this is that no one finds the pathway to Peridia.
Right.
That no one finds the way
If
to
we can't
Ezra.
have it, no one
exactly.
can.
Yeah.
We having Thrawn come back would be far worse than us getting Ezra back.
Right.
Yeah. And you see that contemplation on Sabine too. Like,
and Sabine's response is, it won't come to that. But Ahsoka says it might already have.
It might have already. Yeah, it might already have.
So that
she says something very, I think, that is very clearly foreshadowing for what's going to happen later. And she says that sometimes you have to do what's right, regardless of your personal feelings,
right,
or something very similar to that.
Good speech,
and Sabine asks her, do you really believe that? And she says, when things like this are at stake, I have to believe that. And I very much think that is foretelling of what Ahsoka is going to have to do at some point in this show. And
they have this big "can I trust you" moment.
Yeah.
And she, Sabine plays it off. Of course you can. I'm your girl. But I feel like, and they don't get into it, but I think what happens moving forward is part of the plan. Part of me feels like.
So let's talk about what happens briefly so that everybody's on track.
My next note, we already talked about Balin's Skull, but worth noting that Hu Yang is a Mark IV architect droid.
He holds his own
but
against
he
the
ain't
fucking
no
assassin
protocol droid, bitch.
Yeah.
He got some skills.
Yeah.
So he kind of fucks up this assassin droid.
Yeah, he holds his own.
And
he's smartly, he pops that motivator with one of his backhands to let them know that something's amiss. Yeah.
And so Ahsoka and Sabine come out, guns blazing, ready to throw down. And Duncan's been talking about this for a long time, but Ahsoka, the way she uses the Force in this fight
makes sense.
Fucking
it actually
amazing.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was video games, like what you would do. You talked about in Jedi Survivor how you use the battle droids to throw them down there and fight this Ogdo Bogdo or whatever. Yeah. And like she does the same thing. She throws a dude in front of her to catch the bullets.
which also if we've also talked about this, pretty dark side shit.
It
That
definitely
is
was.
not a Jedi
Definitely
move,
was.
which again speaks to the fact that I am no Jedi, and kind of what we see towards the end of this episode, so Ahsoka refused to train Grogu because
Right.
of his attachments to.
Which makes no sense
To Mando.
compared to
But-
Sabine.
Clearly, yeah, Sabine has all these attachments, and clearly Ahsoka has some attachments to Sabine. Like
Sure.
she is very clearly,
Oh, yeah. Mhm,
like concerned about her friend and her welfare. And when she sees that Sabine in this fight is getting kind of pinned down by that guy's blaster fire, that's when she grabs that dude. I don't know if she's force choking him. It doesn't appear so, but she grabs him,
Human
puts him
shield,
straight
yeah.
in the line of that other dude's fire, and then lets Sabine pull a dude with her grappling hook straight into her lights. And she stabs a dude through the head, no look from behind.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Which is
Yeah.
great. But
Yeah, good team dynamic between the two.
Oh,
that
for
was
sure.
awesome
They worked
to see.
very well
that.
together.
Yeah,
And
see
we
them work
talked about
together.
it. I think it was in the last episode, but where Sabine struck first, and that first showdown with
Yeah.
Shin Hati. I'm pretty sure, I haven't gone back and notated it to confirm it, but I think every fight we've seen Ahsoka in this show so far, she's the one that swings first.
oh, really?
Yeah, so I like that too, that it's not just Sabine's Mandalorian aggressiveness, it's also Ahsoka kind of dancing that line.
Because we also see some in this episode, like in her fight with Merrick, like the opposite of that in terms of her patience and waiting it out.
So and this goes back, the next scene goes back to what I was saying about being part of the plan, where before they run off into the fray, Hu Yang says, "Hey, stay together."
Yes.
And my first thought was, "Oh, you just fucked us," because now we know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But then they have this weird, very awkward back and forth of, "We'll stay together," and
I guess I just didn't pick up on that. I don't know.
it made me think that speech that Ahsoka gave wasn't necessarily referring to you got to blow up the map. Is one of us might have to go with them, and I can't say that their plan all along was for what ends up happening in this episode, because no one saw it coming. But I just
I
got
don't
this
know.
feeling it's part of the plan.
I kind of called it just the way that Sabine was acting. I was like, I don't know if she's really, kind of like Kylo Ren. Like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I'm
You
strong
called
enough.
it. You thought that Sabine was gonna
Oh yeah.
switch sides.
Well, not necessarily switch sides, but it's her chance to go see Ezra, right? Finally get caught up with Ezra. So we're dancing around it, but
Right.
what happens is at the end of the episode, Sabine gets the map and she has a choice of give it to Balin or
Destroy it.
and she gives it to Balin, and which helps them lock in the last coordinate, and then she ends up going with them to the
Yeah, we're skipping way ahead because we're missing some good stuff here. But
Yeah. I just want to say, I will say, I thought there was something weird about the whole, like, if we can't get, or if we can't get the map, then we have to destroy it.
Right.
Well, if you have the ability to destroy it,
and you didn't,
well, then you have it.
right?
If you have the ability to destroy it, you have it. So if you have it, then you should use it and go get Ezra.
Right.
But unless we're talking about like, oh, we can't get to it, and I'm going to take a sniper shot from 100 yards or something shit, like what? That didn't quite make sense to me.
Right.
Like, I get it's a conversation about, are you willing to sacrifice Ezra because Thrawn is too big of a threat to let him
Right.
come back if it means saving Ezra? I get that
Right.
that's part of what they're trying to say there, but it also, like you said, it is a little weird that like that is how they word it and
I
talk
agree.
about it. So
I agree.
maybe you're right there.
But so as they take off just on a dead sprint, which I know Duncan loves watching
God
Ahsoka
damn
run.
it, Rosario.
But they take off on a dead sprint. Maybe pace yourself a little bit. I don't know. You don't have a fucking speeder bike on that ship or anything. Like, come
also,
on.
yeah, I was like, because they say earlier Balin's like, how far away are they when Shin says they
10,
found them?
12,000 clicks.
12
Or
clicks.
12
Which
12
I don't
clicks,
know
yeah.
how far a click is in Star Wars, but
That's true. I would assume it's similar.
yeah, usually when they use the same metric like parsecs and things like that, like it's the same. But like that's a long ways to just be dead sprint.
Yeah, like save a little in the tank, maybe. But
she's a Jedi, so you know whatever.
So
Yeah, 12,000 meters. Is that what that is?
as this is happening, Hera says, gives the big middle finger
yeah.
to the New Republic and says,
Yeah.
"I'm a general, damn it, we're going."
Yeah.
So she hauls the kid in the Ghost, which is awesome to see the ship back. One of my favorite ships in
that was
all of
awesome to
Star
see, yeah.
Wars. And so they climb aboard, and Jason Sandula has this great line of like, "Mom, how come I have to do what you tell me, but you don't do what anybody
Yeah.
else does?" And she's like, "Because I'm a fucking general."
When you're a general, you can disobey orders too. Right
But
now,
I
put your
feel
seatbelt on.
and maybe it's because she's a general, but I think this goes against who Hera was in Rebels. Like, she was very much towing the line for the greater good the whole time.
No,
I
would
think
say,
she's a
I
little
would say
more
this
rebellious
plays
now.
into her because I mean, even growing up, she was resistant to what her father wanted, resistant to how she was supposed to act.
I'm talking when it relays with the when it's tied to the rebellion itself. Like, she pretty much walked the line with whatever needed to be done, despite how much she didn't want to do it.
Okay, I guess I can kind of see that. I'm thinking of her from like the Bad Batch, early years of the Bad
I
Batch.
figured
Like,
as much, but
Yeah.
there's also a episode in Rebels where she hooks up with her dad and his
What?
crew. Not like that. Jeez.
Jesus.
Only one case
I
of
haven't
incest
seen it.
in
I don't
Star
know.
Wars that I'm aware of, okay? No, she gets together with Dad's crew and they go. The plan is
that was better phrasing.
they're gonna capture this. Essentially, it's an aircraft carrier, but for spaceships. And Dad's like, "No, we're gonna blow it up." And she's
Yeah.
like, "No, we kind of need this." And he's like, "No, fuck that, we're gonna blow it up."
Yeah, we're gonna blow it up. It'd be a great spectacle, and it's like, see, fuck you.
And she
Empire,
does
yeah.
defy her dad, but I
Yeah.
think throughout most of Rebels, she's like, "This is what Fulcrum's telling me to do. This is what the rebellion needs. This is what we're gonna do." And she, for the most part, sticks to that. I could be wrong. I'd be happy to hear an argument against
this
it.
is what the rebellion needs. Like, I know that
I
we're
don't
the
doubt
Republic
that.
now, but I think the Republic is fucking up here. And
Well, I think Hera stays true to the rebellion and says, "You New Republic folk are a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Like, why did we give you power?"
And
Yeah,
she, in her
she's
talk
always
with,
she
ahead.
always has the ability to see the bigger picture. I think has always been like her strong suit. Like, she's been able to see what my actions, the tertiary and the fourth order effects here of what will happen. So I think she understands this is something that I need to do, so I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and I think also she has a higher value on her family too, and
Right.
and that's something I wanted to talk about. And I kind of wonder is there any animosity between Hera and Sabine?
I don't think so.
Like,
I haven't felt that.
I could make an argument. I think for
because of
I swear I have it in my notes here. Hold on. No, I can't find it. Yeah, I need to take better notes. It literally says, "Why isn't Hera pissed at Sabine?"
did something happen? Is she responsible in some way for Kanan's death? I don't like or party to that.
Something we're going to talk about in another episode. I wish I would have.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
But yeah, so
So Hera says, "Fuck you." She gets 4 or 5 X-wings,
right, and Carson Teva,
including Carson Teva,
Yeah.
who we've seen in The Mandalorian a bunch.
and we get the return of Phoenix Squadron, which
Right, and
Hera was the commander of
he
prior
refers
to
to her
be
as
her.
Phoenix leader.
Yep.
And they blast off to the Nadam system to go to Cedos and help Ahsoka and them.
And my next note was just the action in general in this episode. Cranked to 11. I fucking loved it. So we start off with we get the meetup of Marok and
Merrick.
Shinhati with Sabine and Ahsoka.
So during their, fucking 12,000 meter sprint
So
through
they
the
had
woods,
time to come up with the plan, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
they meet Shin and Merrick are sent from
Well, maybe they
Balin.
just force sprinted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabine didn't.
Sabine didn't. Yeah.
And where's your fucking jetpack? Why are you running?
Yeah.
I also thought about that. But they get intercepted basically en route to the Henge where all this magic and stuff is happening.
Right.
By Shin and Merrick, and obviously Sabine takes Shin because she's got, a chip there. She needs to handle that, and Ahsoka handles the so-called Inquisitor Merrick.
So I'm the first to
handles
admit
him is
when I am wrong, and
You weren't the only one.
but I'm so disappointed. Like I love the fight. It's very reminiscent to the Kenobi Maul face off that we get in
Oh
Rebels,
yeah, very
where
much
it's
so.
a
Yeah.
one and done. But like we find out that Marok, however you want to say it, is a
Merrick.
I'll say it however I want.
They confirm it in the series. It's Merrick.
So Lando calls Han Han. So whatever. But I digress. It's quick. It's over. And the guy that I predicted to be Sam Witwer is just a
He's a
bag
puff
of
smoke.
dust. Yeah.
He's a Hoover vacuum bag.
He's just like. Oh God! He's a Dathomirian zombie, or a Night Sister zombie.
Yeah, because the gas comes out. It's like
So who is he? Who fucking cares?
Nobody
it doesn't
knows.
matter.
We never
Move
see his
on.
face. We never see anything. But the moment, the fight between, I think, is worth a little bit of a breakdown. Like
Sure.
we see them, Shin and Sabine getting after it, and theirs is more of a high action sort of, high octane sort of fight, blasters and jumping around and lots of sword play or lightsaber play. But with Ahsoka and Merrick, like it's very low key. It's very reminiscent of classic samurai and how like sword fights would really be in real life, where if you do not parry the right time the first time, you're probably dead.
Your stance and your positioning is equally as important to your actual strike.
And the psychology of it, because essentially they have a brief back and forth
face off,
and then they split, and Ahsoka's like, basically just not fussed by any of this shit. She's
going single sword the whole time.
She is single saber to his double bladed, I should say. And so it ends with this standoff where basically she has got herself wide open. She's holding her lone lightsaber over her head, and she just waits.
She's baiting
Merrick
him
out,
in.
baiting him in, and he starts his fucking dumb Inquisitor spinning lightsaber. thing.
the helicopter move.
The helicopter move.
Yeah.
Whatever. And light is weightless, and I don't know how you could use that to fly. But anyway,
It's got a motor on it,
Yeah, light is weightless though; it couldn't hold you. Anyway,
okay. Are we talking about physics again?
because you want things to be
I
realistic.
want it to be real.
See?
Accept lightsabers.
You want things to be realistic.
I've accepted them.
Anyway, so she waits him out, and he makes the first move, and it fucking shocked me. I did not expect.
I was too.
But
I'm like,
she
motherfuckers.
cuts him across the chest, just one quick, and we don't even really see it because they do a quick cut to like a wide shot, and it's just all of a sudden her on the other side with her lightsaber basically where it was in the same position, and Merrick just drops to his knees, his lightsaber.
And you see the glow across his chest.
see the glow across his chest, the lightsaber shuts off, and then he just like puffs into smoke.
So the homework I gave you guys before we did tonight's episode was to watch a couple of the Rebels episodes. And in season 2, the season 2 finale, it's a 2-parter, but in the finale itself, I think it's the fourth brother.
I think so, yeah.
He does his little helicopter trick, but he took a nick to
his
the
lightsaber's
hilt,
compromised.
so he basically falls to his death. Is this the fourth brother? Maybe. Their helmets are very similar. Very well could be. So when I said that they use Night Sister magic, there's an episode of Clone Wars where Dathomirian tradition is they like hang their dead from pods from trees.
Yeah. If you've ever played Fallen Order, you see this.
Right, that too. And the Night Sister magic reanimates them, and they have like a living dead army.
Right.
And essentially, that's what Merrick was. And
we think.
Who gives a fuck who he is? It doesn't. It really
not
does not
confirmed.
matter at all anymore. He was an Inquisitor. That's all we know.
And that's not even confirmed.
I was going to say, we don't even know that. She could have just put him in the armor and gave him the lightsaber.
I suppose. But he was a Force user of some sort. And since there weren't a lot of Sith around, he was either an Inquisitor or a,
that's
Jedi.
true. We do
so
see
he's
him
one of
actually
those
use
things.
the Force. So.
Right. So,
I just want to say all of your Merrick theories were wrong, and nobody knew what that
all
was.
ours were too. So.
Yeah, not
what happened was Filoni was trolling us, and this is not the
whole
first time he's done
you
this.
know, he's just like sitting back, just giggling at all of
So
this.
in my QRF, I said that there's an episode which is the season 2 finale. Ahsoka dies, and there was huge speculation. No, she's not dead. You saw the Morai little owl thing flying at the end, and she was walking into this triangle thing. But then he never confirmed that was actually her walking into this tunnel. And
it's very clearly her.
He showed up to Star Wars Celebration one year wearing a shirt that says "Your Ahsoka theory sucks."
Oh, really?
So he's been fucking trolling us this whole time. Because he knew we would bunch of nerds would sit around and do this. So that happened. Meanwhile, we get round 2 of Shin Hati versus Sabine, and Sabine doesn't waste any time. I'm gonna pop a cap and just starts blasting. So anyways, I start blasting.
Frank Reynolds on him.
And loved it. And I loved how Shin kind of knew what was coming, so she doesn't even try the deception shit and throws her cloak off right away.
Honestly, I was a little disappointed. I was really excited to see more of that fighting that she did with that cloak and using that to conceal her movements and whatnot. I really liked that.
But another great fight scene. Shin knew that Sabine wasn't even going to try this time unless she absolutely had to. And
then she forces her into it because
forces
she
her
literally
into
uses
it.
the Force, throws her against a tree, and knocks helmet off, blasters out.
Yeah.
But also there's a great, like we've been talking about, Shin falling full time to the dark side here, where she looks at Sabine with a fucking death glare, you will regret this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck yeah,
so badass. But again, a relatively quick scene.
Yeah.
And we get to where she's forced to throw down with her lightsaber.
Yeah.
And she does a little bit better.
Yeah.
This
but
time.
still not good.
Still not good.
Yeah.
Not exactly like
Not
Hugh
bad,
Yang said.
but not
bad,
good either.
Not good.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
And then they kind of leave it at that, where they obviously the Merrick thing happens at the same time as they're fighting, and they're both like, oh shit, she got him.
Shin reacts pretty surprised or pretty shocked to Merrick dying.
I think that was all smoke and mirrors for the fact that he's gonna turn into a ball of dust here in a second, and that really pissed
that's
me
when
off.
she reacts. She sees
so you don't think she knew that he was a zombie?
No, I just think it was surprising to me for him just being some sort of mercenary that she seems to have oh fuck, he's dead kind of reaction.
There's
so
definitely
was
some kind of
that
backstory
she was
there.
reacting to, or she's like, oh fuck, he's a zombie?
No, I think it was more like I might fail my master here. Ahsoka
because
might
Ahsoka's coming for me.
Ahsoka might get to me or get to
Or the
him
map, right.
and be a problem. So I think it was more of a, oh fuck, I need to take this seriously. But there's a great moment in Sabine and Shin's fight where Shin has the upper hand and Sabine is knocked to the ground, doesn't have her lightsaber, and she thrusts out her hand like she's gonna force push
Little
her.
pump fake.
And this is why Shin is a fucking Padawan, because this would not have affected fucking any Master
She
Jedi.
flinches.
She flinches. She's she pulls back and acts like, oh fuck, I'm about to get hit. And with what she assumes is a force push, and obviously nothing happens because Sabine can't do that. And she shrugs it off for a second, but then like a true Mandalorian, Sabine has the wrist launchers and just and just shoots a missile at her and blows her lightsaber out of her hand.
Right. So then one of my favorite parts of the series so far is we get the face-off between Baylan and Ahsoka, the much built up a face-off.
I have a question for you real quick before we get to that, because the last thing that Shin does, she fucking pulls a ninja vanish. She throws a smoke bomb.
Ninja smoke.
Have we ever seen that?
Not from a Jedi or a Force user, to my knowledge.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
She's using the cloak.
Right.
She's Batman. She's Batman. Like, what the fuck? This is awesome. She's my new favorite.
But yeah, so that was really cool. I'm sorry.
I love that.
left that part out.
I just went through all of Clone Wars in my head, and I
we see
the only person I can think of is maybe Asajj Ventress did it. Maybe.
That's true. Yeah,
I think she might have.
There might be some moments.
I think she might have.
That's true.
Yeah, she
Either
did.
way,
yeah,
really cool.
Yeah.
But so we get to the face off. We get this great speech by Baylan about everybody in the Order knew Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. And it
Anakin spoke highly of him.
Clearly is a tactic.
Oh sure.
Oh yeah.
Clearly it throws Ahsoka off balance.
Well, if you notice, especially in this episode, Baylan tries everything he can to not fight. He's trying to manipulate as much as he can.
Yeah.
And it's just not always going to work.
So this is like, you've talked about how, you think he's chasing the light and he might be. There's also the possibility, and I think this fight kind of teases it, that he's accepted, like I said with Luthen, like he's damned for what he does. Like he knows that he's
think you're right.
Too far beyond. I think he thinks legitimately that the ends justify the means, but he doesn't expect to see it. I feel like he is accepted that he's evil, but he thinks his legacy will be something good out of it.
That's what brought me to my point of what's his plan. Well, is he thinking that when he gets to this new galaxy that everything's going to be solved? And maybe it is. Maybe he can portray that I'm the good guy here. And I think he wants to. I think he wants to try and start over. But again, he's so haunted by the things that he's done and the things he's still doing. Because I think if he had his choice, if he could somehow to convince Ahsoka, hey, come with me, let's start it over. Let's do it. Let's learn from the mistakes of the past and let's do this our way. But I think he would.
I don't know, though, because he doesn't try it.
But I think he knows that he can't with her.
Maybe like in different circumstances.
Because if you notice, the parallels between this is he starts off negotiating with Ahsoka. And
I don't think he's negotiating.
She throws.
He knows she's there to fight.
Yeah, but she throws down
like
real
the whole
quick.
Time we're here to fight. Yeah.
And he's like, okay,
I'm
wasting my breath. But then when Sabine shows up, it's the opposite.
Well,
he's already got it out. He could easily dispatch her.
Yeah, he could kill her in a second.
But he's like the threat of her holding the blaster in the map
nothing. He's already twisted a blaster away from somebody in the first episode.
He could shoot her in the face with that blaster. Yeah. It's not doing anything. But he doesn't. He stops. I think I think his end game is he's gonna try to start fresh in this other galaxy.
I think that. So what I'm saying in terms of like that, I think he is actually just accepted that he's a bad guy. Is that like the tactics that he are using? Yes, they seem like he's not fighting or he's trying to avoid a fight. But I just think that he's using a more he's using psychological warfare. Like he knows Ahsoka's there for a fight. So what does he do? He puts her off balance. He talks about things that he knows will fucking hurt.
And essentially, it works.
It 100%
because
works. He does it throughout the fight.
So when they actually get to the fight, this was my favorite part of the episode, and maybe the show this far.
Yeah.
I could have watched another 10 minutes of them changing their poses in this chess match, this pre-fight chess match that they're doing of like, I'm coming at you with this. And you're like, cool,
okay,
I'll do this.
Form 2. Okay,
and just switching.
And like, I had like a slight like thought of Princess Bride, where like, oh well, I'm gonna do this, and then Dread Pirate Roberts is like, oh well, then you most certainly know that I would do this against it.
Well, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
but it's
I
without using
I thought
words.
it was a little comical, but yeah.
And this is where I hinted at it in the sit rep, but when I talked about the game of Ghosts of Tsushima, that's a big part of the game is you learn these new stances, and each stance has an advantage for the opponent you're facing.
Right.
So like I don't
have to
remember
pick
all
the
of
right
them.
stance.
There's like a mountain stance. There's like a water stance. There's a wind stance, and like your mountain stance is your strong, powerful base. You're gonna want to use that against a stronger opponent to get a hit on, and like the Jedi lightsaber forms are modeled after those because Star Wars at its core is stolen stories from the samurai culture and the movies, and really inspired me to. I've added all those to my list. So like Seven Samurai and Yojimbo, and they're all on Max right now.
Oh, nice.
Too, but they're really long. And it's all subtitles, but that's fine. I could probably get down with that. But again,
it's a real chess match.
Oh, for sure.
It's two masters of this form of combat,
right?
Feeling each other out, and I mean, like you said, it is that conversation. It is like, okay, you're starting with this. Well,
it's a test too.
Let's see what
you
know.
Do you know what to do here?
Can I like all? And it's very like you said earlier. The fight with Merrick and Ahsoka is reminiscent of the Maul and Obi-Wan ending.
Right.
Obi-Wan goes through that
right
in
he
that
does.
scene. He starts with the classic Clone Wars Obi-Wan, and then he goes to the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, and then he's like.
He switches to the Qui-Gon.
I'm going to go to the Qui-Gon and see if this dumbass has learned anything.
Yeah. Right.
And he goes to the Qui-Gon and baits him right in, and in one stroke he's done.
Clearly he has not learned.
Like, this is different because Balin is elevated, and he's also you know, not blinded by his rage, and he's a chess master.
At the end of the chess match, I think Balin realizes, okay, I'm not going to beat her with technique.
Yes.
I have to beat her with strength and power.
I think he realizes that he is at a disadvantage in terms of lightsaber combat.
Yes, she's going to whoop my ass if I don't put the hood on.
But she only does the one.
But
I was waiting for her to pull out both.
I think she does at one point. When she puts her foot up on the... Doesn't she use two to block?
I don't think she does, unless it's after she got the map. I think what she was doing...
I don't think she could then, because her hand got burnt, so she couldn't hold on.
I don't know, but I think the whole reason she was going with one is because she knew she was going to have to try and retrieve the map during this fight.
I guess I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah. But again, if you kill him, you can retrieve the map. So just kill him. Just kill him. As soon as you block one, you have a gut shot with the shorter blade. But anyway, I'm not a swordsman.
In theory, but again, I said his decision was, I need strength and power to win this fight.
Yeah.
And if that being the case...
He demonstrates it.
Right. And because of this, so like half of this fight is one of my all-time favorites. I loved this fight. It was so great. Half of this fight.
Okay.
Half of this fight. Because at some point, Ahsoka gives up the fight and only decides to start fighting for the map. And I fucking hated that. I'm like, get in the fight. Like... Finish the fight, and then you can go destroy the map. And I did not like that. And then,
well, see, I kind of, I'm trying to think in the order of operations of it, but I guess it is after she burns herself that it really goes downhill.
Because she loses her focus. The fight is no longer with him.
Right.
It's to stop him from getting to Thrawn.
Yeah.
And then he's in a much better tactical advantage of you're not getting behind me, and I have the power to destroy you. So your little parries and blocks aren't going to work.
I was going to say, there's a moment where you're talking about his strength. There's a moment where she parries an overhand swing that he is.
Puts her down.
Yeah, and he she stops the blade for a second, and he just looks at her like it's nothing, and just pushes her blade, and you see his blade like just missing the top of her head as it cuts through part of the hinge, and it's just like, oh shit, like this guy's
he's
fucking
strong.
He's a big dude.
But loved that fight, half that fight. But as he does that, perfect segue there, as he uses that power to push her down, he makes the comment of, your legacy, like your master's, is one of death and destruction. I'm super confused by that.
Me too.
What did Ahsoka do to leave that legacy?
Yeah, I was that was one of those moments for me. I was like, I'm missing something.
And-
like there's some part of Star Wars that I'm not aware of, but maybe I was wrong.
I think my tie into that I'll get to in just a second, but like I said, I hated that she didn't just destroy the map. Like, why is she trying to grab it? Like, she just had this speech with Sabine about like, might have to, the decision might already be made. We might have to fuck it up. And she just completely abandons that and tries to save it. I didn't like that. And then, by the way, what the fuck is that thing made out of? Because like he really had to jam it in there to destroy it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand that part.
I took part of that as it just being like the magic.
Sure.
Because it's still on the
And why did it burn her
magic
hand?
thing.
Like,
because of the magic. I mean,
sure,
Because
that's the only answer.
heat it up.
Well, I was going to say the way that it's like a green
flame,
flame that
yeah.
essentially is activating it. So I assume,
just
but then
figured-
I did
yeah.
love how Ahsoka used the Force to stop her lightsaber from moving. With her burnt hand, because
like you would have the traditional flat
Like an
sword
actual sword,
you would
yeah.
use to brace against the
But so skip to that. Sabine shows up. Well, the first thing we see is Shin. Shin shows up.
Shin arrives first,
and Ahsoka
and
snaps.
it throws Ahsoka
and
off.
she
unbalances
launches her across the freaking platform, thinking I thought maybe
Knocks her
she
the fuck
broke
out.
her neck,
Yeah.
like how hard she
I
hit.
did think she killed her for a second.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, this
And
is
so she's out of the game, and then because Ahsoka thinks Sabine is dead, which I mean,
Fair
if,
thought.
had they not thrown that smoke bomb, how do you end that conflict without? So the buildup was real, and Sabine does show up. For some reason, because the map doesn't burn her because it's already on the ground.
It's cooled off.
So yeah, it's like just
Physics.
do a little tap.
Yeah,
first
you should have
before
shown
she
her pick it up
picks
like,
It's like,
fuck, hot potato.
I gotta get my glove on. Yeah, Beskar. Okay, so she's got the gun to the head on the map and stops Balin, but then he like totally whiffs and Ahsoka just falls off the cliff.
He didn't whiff.
He
hit her blade.
right, but it doesn't hit her,
No, it
and
doesn't
she
hit
just
her.
like either jumps or
I think
falls off.
I think that was that's how strong he is. Like it's just the momentum of like
Right.
her arm and everything flying back.
I watched it in slow mo, and she just kind of
You're
goes,
a fucking
"Ah!"
nerd.
I didn't do it on purpose. I was trying to
It
pause
wasn't
it.
meant to be watched in
No,
slow mo.
I was trying to pause it to read the subtitles.
Oh,
Right, yeah.
And it did
Subtitles.
that. And it was just kind of a lame, like, she just falls backwards.
Well, yeah,
I was like, what the
she's
fuck
not
was
really
that?
falling off a cliff. I don't know if this didn't actually happen.
That's true. But at least there's like a mat or something to land on. They're going to
don't
do
know.
at least some fall.
They don't wanna
I hate to break it to you, but
Whatever.
Rosario Dawson does not actually have force powers.
Yeah, okay,
Or Lake
says you.
Those are expensive.
I
Those
will
things on her
agree that
head.
she can't fly a spaceship. I'll tell you that. But anyway,
So he knocks her off of a
knocks
very
her off
large
the cliff. I mean,
And then
assumingly into the ocean to her death,
Yeah.
and we all
Well,
like.
I mean, yeah,
the name of the
this
show is
show's
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
She's not dead.
Yeah, she's
And there's
not
4
dead,
more
yeah.
episodes.
So so Balin turns to Sabine with lightsaber in hand,
And
takes a
she's-
deep breath,
closes
and
his
turns it
eyes.
off, and just
Yep.
puts it back on his belt.
And clearly takes a moment to read her, like to sense
he knows exactly w's going through
he
her head.
downloads her brain there for
Exactly.
a second.
So he says
Yeah, but like,
to her,
how much of a power move is that? Like, I have like no worry about you. I'm going
yeah,
to do.
you have a gun. You're not, like, and he just
But
you're
again,
nothing to me.
the execution by Ray Stevenson,
so good.
fucking phenomenal. Like he stole this show
Yeah, he
with
really-
this episode,
it's-
and he was great before that.
Yeah.
But he turns to her and he says, after he takes his deep breath, closes his eyes, collects himself, turns off his lightsaber. Your family died on Mandalore
Right.
because your master didn't trust you. What
What
fuck?
the fuck is this? Last we knew, her
What
family
the
was
fuck?
alive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless they're
Her
unless
family-
they're changing the order of the Purge of Mandalore and
Like
where
her-
it
I don't
happens.
think so. I think, and again, I'm talking out my ass here. So when the last time we see Ahsoka with the the sisters in the last season of the Clone Wars is on Obadiah, which is the Pike planet where they make space meth or spice.
Pilot on a spice freighter.
Right. And so that's where Bo-Katan and Sabine's mom, Ursa Wren, is there to recruit Ahsoka. And so that is the last time in the Clone Wars, the first time in the Clone Wars too, that we meet Sabine's family. But then in Rebels, obviously, once Sabine has the Darksaber, she decides to go back to Mandalore and try to reunite all the Mandalorians with the Darksaber. And she comes into contact with her mom. A lot of stuff happens. It's really good that we'll get to at some point, but they save her dad. And the last thing that we know is Sabine gives the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan unites all the clans that are there. So my guess is, based on what happened in Mandalorian Season 3, Moff Gideon says that, or I guess Bo-Katan tells the story that she actually surrendered the Darksaber to Moff Gideon in her mind to save Mandalore.
Right.
And
to
of course he's a lying piece of shit.
Yeah, so
and
he bombs the planet.
He took the Darksaber and killed everyone.
Yeah.
So my guess is her family died in Bo-Katan's sacrifice.
But how does that
I don't know.
equate to it being Ahsoka's fault?
Again, that's a story that's going to get told at some point, whether it's in this season or in this show down the road or somewhere else. That's too big a nugget to not come back to.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's a big one. That blew my mind. And that immediately ties right into Sabine's depression that she has. So she has all this guilt.
Yeah.
And that's where I asked the question of, like, is Hera mad at Sabine for walking away
you figured
after
out this
this?
thought.
I don't think I figured it out.
Okay.
I still don't know what I meant, but
Okay.
I'm guessing, like,
Good try.
because I'm guessing after that happened, did she just go wait in the tower for Ahsoka to come back? I don't know. So again, we've already kind of gave it away, but Sabine decides to not destroy the map and give it to Baylan.
Yes. His proposition is willingly come with me and see Ezra.
Yeah.
I can
go
take
find
you
your
there,
friend.
and
Go
I
save him.
promise you no harm will come to you.
Right.
Give me the map, and we will all go together, and you will find your friend.
And she
is like, "Fuck, okay."
And we
hands the
all
map
knew.
over to
We
him.
all knew, at least in my mind, I knew she was going to give it to him.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm like, this is part of the plan. This is what they wanted to happen.
I don't know. Yeah.
So, but then immediately after,
I called her not destroying that, like, from the moment, like, it was
Well, no, it's the
proposition to
MacGuffin. So I knew that it wouldn't get destroyed.
Right.
But
so, and we know that the series is over if they don't get to Thrawn.
Right.
Because we know Thrawn, and that
appears.
That is my point, that everything that we've seen in the trailer so far, except Thrawn, is done. It's gone.
yeah, we've already gone through all the
Everything
trailer footage.
that
Basically.
happens
that's true.
from here
Yeah.
on out, we
There's
have no idea
a
on.
couple of other very quick clips, I think, that haven't appeared yet.
Maybe, but the bulk of that, we got no idea what's coming.
Yeah, I agree.
So he gives it to her, and then immediately
Shin-
she starts choking because Shin comes back too
Shin
and,
wakes
and
up.
starts choking the shit out of her.
Yeah, because she doesn't know. She's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, she's still here.
Right.
I gotta kill her.
Which I thought if they were going to kill Sabine off, they would have done it right there, and they didn't. So
Well,
it's
and
not happening.
Balin's like, Shin, put her down.
Yeah, stop it.
And she doesn't. And then she's like, Shin, put her
See,
down.
that's
And
what I
she
was talking
finally-
about earlier, about like how Shin pipped off a little bit to
Yeah.
him.
I don't think it was him or her like talking back to him or disobeying him. I think it's her, like, the dark side is so overwhelming her. Like,
Right.
she's, like you said, the razor's edge.
Yeah.
I think she's inching closer and
Yeah.
closer. And like,
Again, I think that shows like Balin is the only thing
right.
that's keeping
Yeah.
her on that razor's
So
edge.
it
Yeah,
took a
because
second,
Balin had
but-
not been there, the Sabine would be dead.
No.
But
Yeah.
then, so the next scene after we leave the surface of Cedos is Phoenix Squadron jumping in. They see the
Yep.
ring coming up, and that scene
They're like,
where
hey, let's get in front of it.
Yeah.
Just block it.
It's my
Size of a small planet.
It was a straight callback to something Dark Side Family Guy.
I'm sure that's what they're calling back to. Yeah.
Where she goes,
Yeah.
I know, but hear me out here. So she's like, Princess Leia in that says, our plan is, even though we could literally travel in infinite directions, our plan is to get in front of it.
Yeah.
And like, can we talk to somebody from the military, please?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, this is the general from the military.
Look, there are lanes of travel in space that you gotta
Block
identify.
the axis. What the fuck? Maybe they're going to throw it in reverse. We don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the plan, and then of course it doesn't work. It's not quite the Holdo maneuver because it's a big circle and they just fly right through the middle of it, so it doesn't blow anything up. But
I took a little issue with that because, like, in my mind, you're creating an entire not warp field, but a hyperspace field of the whole ship. So in that scenario, it's just the ship itself. So. But
are we talking about Star Wars physics again? It sounds like we are.
It fucks up some of the ships. Like it blow. They do it. They go to they hit the coordinates and they get into hyperspace in the ring with Balin, with Sabine, Shin, Morgan. They make it. They're on their way to Peridia. And it takes out 3 or 4 of the X-Wings because it flies right over them. And luckily, Carson Teva and Hera
there's
are
like
fine.
3 to 4 of the main characters on this ship. I think we're
and
fine.
then Jason does the classic Star Wars, I got a bad
got a bad
feeling about
feeling.
this.
Oh,
but
God.
I mean, I guess it's better than the alternative of like, oh shit, there they went. They're gone. They're gone. They're gone.
Oh, that'd been way better.
Why did we come
Or
here?
just like, Mom, can I have a snack?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. God damn
I need a
it.
juice box.
You see what just happened?
So, of course, our jaws are still on the floor at this point because where's Ahsoka? The whale's going to save her. What's going to happen? But then they show the cliff, and then they show the waves crashing on the cliff. And
Seamless transition.
Can't tell you the second that I saw like a speck.
Yep, me too.
My mind was blown. I'm like, no fucking
Yep,
way.
I was like, wow, they're really doing it.
And
Yep, they're
boom,
doing it.
Stardust and Ahsoka is laying there, and you can see it all around her. And if you haven't seen the episode, you gotta watch Rebels episode. I think it's episode 13,
Season 4, episode
season
13.
4, The World Between Worlds, and that's where Ahsoka is. She's in the space between. And
Also known as the Virgin Scatter, I think it's called.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
One. That's interesting.
Oh,
I did
so
some research.
Look at you.
I also want to throw out, and I get it, this show is catering to not only the hardcore fans, but also they're trying to suck people in.
Yeah.
But the subtitles say, and my note is just fuck you subtitles, but it's quote, mysterious voice. Hello, Snips. Who the fuck else would say that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's,
Come on.
Yeah, no, they got to play it up
They
a
could
little
have
bit.
just said hello, Snips, and then turned to him, but whatever. So the big reveal, Anakin Skywalker.
I got to tell you, I had literal chills. I was just, she turns, we see him.
So there's a moment when he says hello, Snips, and she's very confused. Obviously, she hasn't heard Anakin's voice in years, and hasn't been called Snips in even longer. And and there's a moment. Somebody pointed this out on the because I put a post up of this as a spoiler thing, and somebody commented on it that she reaches for her to see if she still has her
Padawan braid.
Yeah, her Padawan braid, her bead or whatever it is. She like starts to reach towards where that, and like he talks again, and she like. That's when she turns around and sees that it's Anakin. Like she's like, where the fuck am I? What's going on? Like, I thought it was cool.
So, it was amazing. And of course, the Anakin that we see is exactly like the Anakin
The last time
you see him in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, before he goes to kill a bunch of younglings.
Basically,
and become
Revenge
Darth
of the
Vader.
Sith.
Yeah.
And the creepiest
This is where
part
the fun begins.
Exactly. The creepiest part of this is it's Anakin. It's not a Force ghost.
No, he's not.
It's a person.
See, I've seen a lot of people like, oh no, it's a Force ghost. It's this, it's that. I'm like, no, that is
It's
Anakin.
him.
Well,
It's not a
It's-
Force ghost.
It
I
may
don't know
not.
that we can say it's Anakin. Like
You're
it's,
right. You're
it's
right.
A
You're
force.
right.
It's
You're
not
right.
a Force.
It's
ghost.
not a Force
It's
ghost.
It's an embodiment of a person. It is
Right.
a person that she looks the same as him. Like they are both physical beings of some description.
So,
there.
given of the way he looks, there's only one possible timeline of where he could come from, and that's Revenge of the Sith after he has, I mean, he's either on the ship going to rescue the Chancellor or right before he turned or before he faces off with Obi-Wan, basically. So it's a very small window. And my first response in my head was, so did you just like take a break from murdering children in the temple and like, oh, what's this? A portal, and jumps in there?
No,
I don't think so.
No, because you would have seen like the red in his eyes
Right.
and everything. Like
I don't think so.
He looks very much like cool,
it's
calm,
like
collected.
seconds after they depart. That's what it seems
right.
like.
But so the new theory, and since you brought it up, I'm gonna let you spit on it.
Which one? I talked about a couple. The
Spit
I don't
on
wanna
it.
spit on it.
Spit
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
I guess you would, wouldn't you? Let's talk about the Mortis
Okay.
gods.
So there's that really dumb arc in the
Oh,
Clone
come on.
Wars
It's not dumb.
called the
God.
Mortis arc, where we are in
And this
a
is the Clone Wars.
in the Clone Wars, where we are in a separate dimension or plane of existence, I'll call it, similar in a sense to the world between worlds.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
That it
Yeah.
exists outside of time
could be
and space.
another
essentially.
galaxy somewhere.
We don't know. But anyway, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Anakin find themselves here, and they meet the daughter, the father, and the son. And the daughter represents the light side of the Force. She is an embodiment of pure light side Force. The son is an embodiment of pure dark side Force, and the father represents the balance in
balance.
between.
And he's
And
recruiting Anakin.
The reason he lured them there is because he wants to see if Anakin is truly the chosen one who will bring, what is it? Balance to the Force. So he wants Anakin to basically take his job so he can go do hookers and blow.
I'm tired of these damn kids.
I gotta retire, man. These
I
fucking
mean,
kids.
It's been like
They're
2,000
like
years.
fighting all the
thousands of
time.
years old.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I'm fucking tired of this shit.
The son is like I said, an embodiment of the dark side of the Force. And long story short, Ahsoka, the daughter dies. And
Right.
in her last breath, Ahsoka has died. She was killed by the son. And in her last breath, the daughter transfers what energy she has left, or essence, or whatever you want to call it, to Ahsoka to bring her back to life. And from that moment on, the Morai bird, the little owl thing that follows her, that's in that episode, World Between Worlds and Rebels, it follows her around.
It's
and
in the world between one,
Yeah.
not just the episode. It's actually
Yeah.
in that time
like
and
the
space.
bird is the one that leads
Right.
Ezra to the portal where he pulls Ahsoka out of her fight with Vader.
right.
And so what the thought is that, well, now Ahsoka, because of that transfer and bringing her back to life, she at least is some sort of embodiment of, that of the daughter. And
She's an anomaly too. Like she's not. I don't want to say supposed to be there, but like because of this place, this space existing, that's why she's still alive today.
see, I don't agree with that.
All right.
She survived her fight with Vader.
No, she did.
Yes, she did.
Yeah,
she
she
survived her fight with Vader.
Yeah,
she
I
clearly
don't-
walks away at the end of the episode.
I don't
And
buy
When
the
did that-
idea
when did that
that
happen?
Filoni has
Ahsoka died. I
Filoni
don't
has
believe it.
even said that, like Ezra, when she gets pulled into the world between worlds, she recognizes that she cannot leave anywhere else with Ezra except the place that she came in. She has to go
Why
through
can't
her
she?
because if she doesn't go there, it destroys everything. It's the same reason that he can't save Kanan, because if he saves Kanan, he's not there. Ezra wouldn't be there to save Kanan, and it breaks the whole thing.
Yeah.
Nothing that you do in the world between worlds actually changes anything. It is all about knowledge. It's all about seeing everything at once. And it's all about seeing what you have a specific perspective to see. You go into the world between worlds and you see these portals. You hear these voices. You are attuned to these things that are happening. If I went into the world between worlds, I would have a different experience than you. Than you. What and the reason she does, like, she gets pulled into Ezra's vision of the world between worlds, Ezra's perception of the world between worlds. And you see it with the Emperor in that episode trying to pull them in there, and like that's from a different point in time of Clone Wars and everything else. But that's why they split up. Ezra has to go out the way he came, and she has to go out the way she came, because she has to close the loop. She doesn't survive. She survived her fight with Vader, and he doesn't save her life. He just closes the loop. Like, she just still survives her fight with Vader because he pulled her out. But she already survived her fight with Vader, and that's why she has to go back there. Because if she just disappeared during her fight with Vader, things would be different and it would all fall apart. The same reason he can't save Kanan. So the world between worlds, and this is my theory with what's going on in this, there will be no, like, she can't change anything, but she can see things that Anakin can show her. Anyway, I'm getting
you're
too
saying
deep in
this place is like a vision.
I'm saying basically it's the fourth dimension. You are outside the perspective of time and space, and you are seeing time as a flat circle.
Okay.
You are seeing everything that has happened, will always happen, has always happened, will always happen. Time is a circle.
Has had happened.
Right. It will always
That's
happen,
helpful.
and it has always happened.
Okay.
So what I think, to wrap up on this theory, I think that, and other people have said, this is not my original thought, but Anakin is actually, so Ahsoka becomes this representation of the daughter as after the Mortis arc. Well, the son takes control of Anakin during the arc, and essentially as they leave the planet,
And
Anakin,
there's no balance.
and there's no balance, and Anakin becomes an embodiment of the son.
Okay.
From then on, and I think that potentially, now I don't necessarily believe that this will be the theory, because like you said, Filoni wants Rebels fans and new fans and everyone to be, part of the Star Wars family and love it all.
Right.
So it would be very deep cut for him to be like, no, Anakin is the son. And I think that this visage that he has taken is specific because he knows that it will impact the daughter or his sister, Ahsoka, in a way that he can take power.
Okay, but I'm thinking of the end of Return of the Jedi when Luke is holding Vader in his arms and he takes his mask off and he says, "Tell your sister you were right about me." Because ultimately Vader saves Luke from the Emperor.
Right. Yeah. Anakin restores balance to the Force.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what the brother wants.
No.
So if he's the living embodiment.
But maybe this is where we see why he's not the son anymore. Maybe this shows us Ahsoka does something that, like, he still falls to the dark side because that's time is a flat circle. What happens will always happen. But maybe now we see why he's not, like, he can do that at the end. Like, he's not, his journey with Ahsoka that we're going to see was important for him to be able to restore balance to the Force at the end of Return of the Jedi. So maybe. I don't know. Or it's total nostalgia bait.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility with the way the world is right now. But, like,
I mean, I would love to see something happen with Anakin here. Like, I would love to see.
Oh, you're gonna get that in episode 5.
Some kind of like a version of Anakin before he fell that is able to, like, come out. Like, that would be cool in my opinion. I
don't want that.
I think it would be neat. I just think it would be neat to see something like that.
I think we're getting a throwback episode. I think there's gonna be some kind of, even if it's a very brief scene of them when he was training her. I think we're going to get that.
Maybe. I think there's a fair chance that we get some sort of flashback for the nostalgia's sake and for some cool moments. Yeah. But I don't think that will be the crux of what really happens in this. What I think potentially we could see is Ahsoka. I think what Ahsoka is experiencing, my real theory, because this, while it would be cool to be the son, I think that's just too deep cut. I don't think that Filoni is going to do that because I think it would really confuse a lot of people and nobody would know what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah,
for the casual Star Wars fan who's just really enjoyed Mandalorian, saw Ahsoka in that show, and then moves to
maybe.
to this.
But why the fuck would you put this in here?
Just listen. Because I think you bring your experiences to the world between worlds. You see a unique experience when you're in there. And I think that this is essentially like her subconscious, her mind manifesting what she needs most, the knowledge that she needs most in this moment. Okay. The world between worlds is about knowledge.
Right.
And I think what she's going to see, because as far as, and correct me if I'm wrong, as far as I know, she never saw how Anakin fell to the dark side. She knows the story now. She knows.
Felt it.
Right, but she never saw what happened. She feels this guilt that maybe if she hadn't left the Order, if she hadn't left his side, that she could have prevented it. She has all this guilt, and we see that in her duel with Anakin. She's gonna destroy Vader because Vader killed Anakin and whatnot. And she has talked about many a time that she just feels this guilt for Anakin going down in Tales of the Jedi. They even address that a little bit with Padme's funeral.
Right.
But what I think is going to happen is this manifestation of Anakin. This is the last moment that she had where everything was okay. Like, yeah, the world was going to shit, but like her and Anakin were okay.
Yeah.
He was okay. He was Anakin.
So he wasn't. Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
He wasn't.
I don't think she was okay in that point.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying.
No, but like she doesn't. She's moved past. That was just her journey. But like the thing she's never gotten over is Anakin.
His fault.
That question always lingers
and
in
her
head.
walking away from it.
Right. So I think she's going to see. I think we're going to see parts of Revenge of the Sith from a new perspective.
I hope so.
I think
That'd
we're
be
going
cool.
to see
That'd be
maybe
rad,
a
yeah.
vision of like, hey, okay, you didn't leave his side. Let's see what would have happened if you had stepped in to
That would be really
the
fucking
battle on
cool.
Mustafar, or to you'd been at the Jedi Temple when he started slaughtering younglings, or whatever. We're going to see, as much as I really don't give a fuck about seeing more Order 66 shit, but like we're going to see something like that, in my opinion. And whatever she goes through in the world between worlds is going to turn her into, and you have brought this up, into the Gandalf the White, the enlightened.
That's fair.
Ahsoka.
That's a good point.
She's going to surpass that guilt, and she's going to have her Kanan moment where she, not a sacrifice moment, but the moment where she decides, if I'm going to be a master, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm
going
accept.
to teach you, and there's no question about it. I'm going to do it. And a very Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. Like she is going to be Sabine's master. And I bet that connection and that moment and this whole master and apprentice thing that they are doing with every character in this is going to be the connection that Sabine needs to come back from the dark side and to actually become another Mandalorian Jedi in the light side of the Force.
That very well could be, and I really like that theory. The one that I was kind of referring to is Anakin, the embodiment of the brother. Is the brother trick fucking
Yes.
Ahsoka into, you need to do what Anakin tells you to do in this situation so he can manifest himself in her and get out of there.
Right. And I like that theory too. But what I'm saying is I just think that the son and the brother, the whole Mortis shit, I think that's just too deep cut for
this brings
for
up,
the average fan. Because we like everyone, casual Star Wars fans alike, were pumped about Anakin.
Right.
And they're pumped for episode 5.
Right.
They're very excited to see what this means. And if he just melts away into the brother or the son or whatever
There's
you want to
going to be
call him,
mass confusion. Who the
everyone's
hell
gonna be
is this
like,
guy?
what the fuck does that even mean? Who is this guy? This is somebody we've
Because
never seen in live action Star Wars before.
As a layman into Star Wars, until recently.
Yeah.
It was B that got me into Clone Wars again,
and me too. Like,
and
this
like
is all
really,
very new to me.
yeah, deep down
You're
and did a
welcome.
deep dive.
I don't know
Not
if I can
every,
take you
You're
out,
gonna
but-
say something.
not
Smart ass.
everybody has this knowledge base.
Yeah.
And so
I agree.
They
But
have
Nor
to
do
play.
they want it.
Yeah, nor do they
That's
want it
fair.
because it's a cartoon. Even though I love your line of
Yeah.
you know you are not your khakis. Watch some fucking cartoons.
Tyler
That's
Durden's line. I just love it.
it's something they can't play into.
But I will tell
And
you,
it's too late. Like, we're here. We're at the episode.
I don't
People
think it is.
don't have the
There's-
time to.
There's so
figure it
much
out.
that happened in that Mortis arc that for us to understand and to really get into that we can't just throw it in here as a throwaway thing on this episode.
I'll tell
arc.
you one thing that I'll give Filoni a lot of credit for, and it's that I can't think of too many other properties where I feel as rewarded for knowing all the shit that I do, for being this
true.
devoted to it.
That's true.
In this show.
And to play devil's advocate with myself, I think it is also very possible that Filoni is talented enough as a storyteller that he can find a way to bring the casual fan up to speed without it being a bunch of stupid exposition.
I agree,
and-
but I think he's doing it in a way to tease you enough, like, man, I really kind of wish I knew more about that, and gets you to go back and watch it.
I mean,
think
he's
can
kind
do
of
it.
done. He's kind of done that with the World Between Worlds. Like, if my
Sort of,
dad,
that the casual fan has no idea what the fuck's happened yet, though.
yeah, like
No.
if my dad just started watching Ahsoka with me, like, and then Ahsoka, like, I give him like the quick like rundown. Ahsoka was Anakin's apprentice, and then she arrives in this World Between Worlds here. He's like, well, where is she now? It's like, okay, well, now I have to explain all of this to him, and there's this backstory and that backstory, and so I think I'm right in line with you, Duncan. I think it's too deep of a cut to bring in like the sun and the Mortis arc.
Yeah.
Now, if they can maybe hint at it somehow,
But they got
some
the
way.
freaking Morai in there, though. That's just background stuff. Like,
Easter
Mora is
egg?
in.
I thought she's been in the show at some point, hasn't she?
I don't.
But
think
so that brings me to my point, though. The next line on my notes here is, if you've only watched The Mandalorian, how confused are you right now? Like, all of us know what just happened.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super confused why Anakin's there and why it's Anakin that I know.
Yeah, like where
that
is
she
she in this
knows.
point in time? Yeah, yeah.
Why is he not a Force ghost, or what's happening here? That part confuses me. The only other person that's been in this world that we've actually seen that wasn't I guess we haven't seen any Force ghosts in this world, but the only person that we've seen in the world that actually communicated with somebody was Yoda. Yoda in the I want to say it's the first season of Rebels.
Oh yeah.
Ezra and Kanan go to the Lothal Jedi Temple, and that's when Ezra gets his lightsaber crystal, and Yoda
Connects with them from Dagobah.
he's there
Oh yeah,
in the world, but he's not
there.
physically there. So it's his essence or whatever, but it doesn't look
the
like a
Luke
Force
Skywalker trick.
ghost. Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
again,
like how Ray and Ben talked.
Maybe.
kind of, but not really. Yes and no, but
Same,
whatever.
Same but different.
But that brings me to another point, though. So if we're doing the brother and the sister thing, if it is that theory of it's the brother trying to get out of this prison, basically, he needs to be
Because
the
at the
embodied.
at the end of the arc, the Mortis arc, his goal was to spread darkness
Yeah,
across
he
the
wants
galaxy.
darkness to cover the galaxy, and
Anakin fell to the dark side
Seemingly,
in that, and
it was working.
He probably won.
but so
a
maybe when Luke saved him, that sent the brother back to the world between worlds, and
Right.
he's
It
trying to get out
restored
again.
the balance.
Right.
So
So my question is this what brings Luke Skywalker into the show? Because from what we
'Cause we
know,
have-
he's the chosen one.
we have been asking this question.
Exactly.
Where the fuck is Luke
So
Skywalker?
and that fight
Ahsoka
between
knows him, by the way.
right, yeah, and
Uh-huh.
they were hanging out.
Yeah.
probably banged. Just saying.
probably
yeah, why
not.
not?
No,
Nah.
Luke's fucking. He had sex with his sister.
No,
He's
No,
fucking.
she kissed him. All right.
no,
They
he's too
definitely
busy milking those weird things on whatever system he
No,
was
no,
on.
that's in the future.
No, he just got done training Grogu.
Look. All I'm saying is, they know each other, and he. the scene in Rebels where Obi-Wan and Darth Maul face off for the last time, and the reason Obi-Wan finally steps up and says, "All right, there's no other way. We ain't talking
Right, he
our way
doesn't
out of
wanna
this."
fight him.
He says, "You're here for someone.
You're on guard, dude.
Yeah.
The boy. Is he you're watching the chosen one?" And Obi-Wan tells him after he kills him,
he says he is.
yeah, he is the chosen one. And he's like, then Maul's like, have him save us. Like,
Right.
have him save us. So I think this is the first moment in the show, and I just thought of it while we're talking it out here. Like, maybe this is what brings Luke in. I hope. I mean,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Briefly, for your question about the Morai, her owl bird thing, it was in The Mandalorian when in the
Yes,
first episode, the Jedi that
You're
we
right.
see Ahsoka.
You're right.
They panned the bird first, and
So
then
it's still out in the world
So it
somewhere.
exists
Yeah.
in this universe. We just haven't seen it in Ahsoka
Okay.
yet, as far as
Maybe I need to
But-
watch it another 9
8
times.
or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Probably 12 now. I don't know.
Also, side note: if you like Darth Maul, that the Clone Wars and I'm assuming Rebels too makes it worth. That probably makes it worth it for you to at least watch the Maul arc of things. Like
Right.
he has a ton of great character development and
Agreed.
like almost becomes a sympathetic. Like before, he's just a murderer that does some cool shit with a lightsaber.
I wouldn't say he's sympathetic until that Obi-Wan scene.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I think that
I
they
know what
build
you're
in a
talking
lot
about
of good
now. Yeah.
character development with him, and
The arc where he
And an
builds the
explanation as to
underworld
what-
is
is really good.
so awesome.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
But anyway, that's side
But
note.
yeah, so I really, that's my question to everybody that's listening out there. If you're only a fan of The Mandalorian and you've been watching Ahsoka, I need to know what your thoughts were when Ahsoka's not in the ocean and she's walking in space or something.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I
I'm
need to
still
know
trying to
this.
figure out like how she got into the world between
Well,
worlds.
that's the other question: is how did she end up there? Because previously, the only way to access it, even the Emperor wasn't able to access it.
He could see it somehow,
see
but he
it,
couldn't
but
get in.
He couldn't make his way in. Yeah,
Right.
and and I mean, we have basically a Padawan.
Yeah, the
Ezra.
only person that's ever been able to figure it out is Ezra Bridger.
Right,
and
and
he
he was
did it with Sabine, though. Sabine
Yes,
helped
Sabine
him
helped
figure
him.
out how to get in.
And he was led there by the Loth Wolves in the Lothal Temple, and possibly the reincarnation of Kanan Jarrus
and
as the Doom Wolf.
and a I don't know what you want to call it, a picture, a painting of the Mortis gods.
Yes. The daughter is the key to opening it, and the son is the key to closing it
Right.
when he
And
he
Sabine figures this
that
out,
out.
but Ezra's the only one that's powerful enough to actually open the door and get inside.
it's not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be able to access like the brother or the son side of things unless
You're from the inside.
well you're a dark side user. You're a bad guy.
Well,
like,
we
you have to
we
access
see
the dark side.
Ezra embrace a bit of the dark side in Rebels.
Yeah, that's getting a little bit in the weeds. That
It is.
I don't
but
think
anyway,
we're going to talk about
so
it right
previously,
now. but-
only one other person has only ever been able to access
Correct.
this place, and it was through a very specific set of circumstances and a very specific place and time.
And
So-
the only other person to physically occupy that space that we know of is Ahsoka. So
Yes.
she has some kind of
but
connection
because
to that place.
Ezra pulled her in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Not of her own doing because she was
had
pulled.
nothing to do with getting.
But
in
then we talked about it too, of how Ahsoka's been dancing with the dark side and the way she uses the Force. Maybe that's how she gets out.
Maybe.
I don't know. But I kind of thought, my initial thought upon watching it was, oh, this is how she gets to Ezra and Sabine, is she's going to go out through a portal there.
That was my thought too. But if I'm going to stick with my theory that
That
you
doesn't
can't change
work.
anything
Right.
and that you can only,
and
but
here's
maybe she can figure out the coordinates because she can see all of time
Right.
and everything or something.
I love your
You know,
theory.
that's probably how they're going to figure it out because they vanish out and nobody has the coordinates now because the thing's been destroyed.
Yeah.
So that's probably how they're going to tie
I hope
that
it's
in there.
something like that, and it's not like, oh, Chopper got one in there real quick. Yeah. They figured it out.
Well, there was also talk that maybe like because she burned her hand with the map that they'd be able to do some sort
I
of
think
like
there's
fucking-
something to that. It's
fucking
Raiders of the
Raiders
Lost
of-
Ark.
yeah,
There's
Raiders,
something
yeah.
to
Well,
that.
and they love. I mean, Lucasfilm loves to do Indy nods in Star Wars and Star
It's-
Wars nods in Indy, and like we already had a little Indy moment. And
Yeah,
so
I think it could
it's not impossible.
definitely be that where the information that they have at the altar or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it
the
is
henge.
only 8 of the 9 needed coordinates, and she's like, oh, well, I got this
Oh,
shit.
here's this one, and then they decipher
So
it.
I can definitely see that. But the other thing I was going to say was that Anakin. I love your theory. I love that's just a place for knowledge.
Right.
I don't know if that explains how Ahsoka got in there in the first place and then got back out.
It does, but it's okay.
Okay, but whatever. If Anakin is actually in there, isn't he the worst or the last person that you
he would
want
go
to
fucking-
occupy that space?
He would
He'd
do
pull out
everything.
His mom.
Yeah.
He'd pull out Pat. He'd get Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Probably,
Probably
Where do you
find
get
more
Qui-Gon?
fucking Tusken Raiders to kill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you guys
definitely
didn't do
no
anything
sand.
wrong. I just want to murder you.
It was a good time. So.
Yeah. Oh, there's
And I hate
Watto.
sand.
Fuck this
Yeah,
guy.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't-
He obliterates all
He would
sand
not
from
be
the
able to
galaxy.
control himself.
The Tusken Raider that killed his mom, he just keeps bringing him back,
Right.
Yeah.
and killing him
So
over and over
that's
and over.
why I really like. I love your theory. I think that's great. But also part of me thinks that the key to them getting to Thrawn to Ezra has something to do with that place.
Yeah.
So she's gonna get some information there, and maybe that's all it is information.
I think it's just knowledge.
But I can also see her taking something from somewhere.
And they could still do that and find a way to, time travel logic it where this is the way it's always been. Because that's like time travel just in movies and TV shows, just it never makes sense. No matter
Right.
how you theorize about it, whether it's the Endgame style or it's the Back to the Future style or it's anywhere in between, like it never really makes sense because
Right.
we don't actually know how it's going to work. So they could always
Do a new version
at
of
the
time
end
travel.
of
Yeah.
the show, it could justify like, oh no,
Yeah.
she was always going to do this, and this
Right,
was
right.
always going to happen, and it never changed.
So-
Or they could Bill and Ted it. Like only the good guys get to change the future.
Sure.
The last thing I wanted to say was just so I asked you guys to watch a couple of Rebels episodes before we reviewed this.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I kind of noticed a couple of things. It has nothing to do with the grand scheme of things, but
Just
this one
interesting
maybe
points.
does. But in the season finale of episode 2, when they're on Malachor, which turns
Has a
out to
Sith
be
temple.
some Sith temple on the Sith planet.
Like Sith Doomsday Machine too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
some kind of super weapon,
Yeah.
which could be related to the Rakata
We're kind of invaders.
from Knights of the Old Republic that they've kind of hinted
They've
at might
referenced
be
in Andor.
right. Might be, yeah. It was brought up in Andor, so maybe it's going to be involved in this. But she's in this temple and she picks something up and immediately knows where they are. And it dawned on me that Ahsoka can read Sith.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck? How did she learn that?
Yeah,
because
so
all we know, it's banned.
Well, she only knows a couple words because the way that starts is they're on the surface of the planet,
Right,
And,
and
they
they
go up to
fall
this
in.
this henge essentially, and she's like, I can only make out a couple words, and Ezra's like, nah, touch, and then they fall through the fucking planet. But yeah, so she somehow can read.
she read Sith, so
Yeah.
she's been doing some shit.
right.
And again, that's why I think her lightsabers are white.
Yes.
And that's who she's supposed to be. She's coming back from this place as Ahsoka the White.
No, they were gray for the gray Jedi.
Okay. But then the other thing was just because Filoni is such a stickler for like attention to detail, especially when he's bringing animated stuff to live action.
Right.
I couldn't help but notice, and I can't remember if it was in the World Between Worlds episode or if it was in the season 2 finale, but her lightsabers in live action are opposite in the cartoon. And then I realized in the cartoon why it's that way, because in the cartoon she cross draws.
Oh.
But then in reality, she's like, cross drawing is bullshit and it's dumb. Why would you do that? So
Doesn't she cross draw once in the show? Because she does the typical Ahsoka move where she holds them.
she might do it in the
front of each other.
Mandalorian. That's when she does that.
Yeah.
But in the Ahsoka show so far,
hasn't?
because
Okay.
I know that right before I watched this Rebels episode, I saw her pull. She's got the longer handled one, and she pulls that one straight up. So I was like, I mean, it makes sense to me. Cross-dress bullshit. Don't do that. So,
I mean, it's pretty cool.
It
looking,
looks
though.
cool, but it's dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess to wrap up this review, which thank you for doing this. I fucking love this. I think Andor might be in the works. I love that show
you mean
so
for
much.
us to do a review of Andor?
Or
I could do that.
if you again, we're gonna
Someday,
do this again for the finale. We'll try to pick up where we left off here and not spend 4 days talking about it. But I guess my question moving forward, you guys have any predictions that we haven't already talked about? Like Jimmy, you've been kind of quiet. What do you got? Anything?
Well, I've got a lot, but it's kind of hard to
Give us your best one. Throw us your
one.
best one.
Okay, so Sabine, they obviously go there, and as we've kind of talked it out, Ahsoka gets the coordinates through the world between worlds. But like maybe they don't even have to go there because now they've got a way to get to Thrawn. They know how to get back, so now Thrawn can come back. So there's no reason
have to go where.
They don't have to.
Peridia.
They don't have to go to Peridia because the whole point was to go
Bring Thrawn back.
bring Thrawn back.
That's
and
fair.
If Thrawn is going to be the heir to the Empire, as is already confirmed in the upcoming.
Well, that is the coming fight. We know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's the upcoming movie or series that Filoni's
the
already.
movie.
Yeah, the Filoni's already confirmed. So he's obviously coming back to the galaxy. So that's already confirmed, set in stone. So maybe all the speculation we have of them trying to get there is pointless because he's just going to come back anyway.
Could be.
That's a fair
I
point,
think we'll
and I haven't
see
thought
it.
of that. Yeah,
I think we'll see it, and I think we will see some maybe canonization of some legend stuff, or like you said, like Rakatan Invader, sort of High Republic or Old Republic, whatever stuff. Just because I think Filoni will continue to do what he can to merge as much of the extended universe stuff as possible.
I agree.
But I think we will only probably, if you're right, I think we will only probably see it through, Sabine and Balin and Shin and all that.
Well, you are right.
There.
That is happening. But I think we're still going there. Because
Yeah, I mean,
so
even
here's
if we
the
do
other-
go there, we spend a short time there, and then it's like a chase scene, and then they're right back.
So here's the other side of what you said. Thrawn is definitely coming back. We know that, and
It's
it's the
Ezra.
only thing that makes sense. But what about Sabine and Ezra?
Right.
So Balin says, I'll take you to see Ezra. He
I
doesn't
won't
say I'll
hurt
bring you
you.
home.
I won't hurt you.
He doesn't say I'll bring you both home and get you fucking back to the apartment. Like he says, I won't make sure any harm comes to you. But he could just ditch them there, and then Ahsoka's got to recover them.
I
because
think that's
fucking
what's gonna
Thrawn's already
happen.
back, but now I need to go rescue them.
I think Thrawn's going to make it back, and then
100%.
the
or maybe
Ghost
they
crew
all
is
get
gonna
stuck
have to,
there, and that explains why we don't see them.
No, I don't
moving
think so.
forward.
I think the Ghost crew is going to have to get back together to go bring them back. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if it's
The
going to be
Purgle.
some
The Purgle is
it
gonna-
could
Gotta
very
be
well,
Purgle,
could
really.
Yeah,
very
'cause-
well be the Purgle because we know that Ezra could get them to take them home if they can get there.
Maybe that's the connection that Sabine makes.
And
I
maybe
don't know.
that's the
now
knowledge
we're going.
she
Now
learns.
we're just grasping at straws
But
here.
no, I think we're definitely going to Peridia. I think Balin's endgame is to stay there. I don't think he wants to come back
I don't know. I'm
because
not.
he knows the war that Thrawn is going to bring to the
But
galaxy, and he doesn't want any part of that.
But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think he thinks the war is unfortunate, but I think he thinks it's, again, the ends justify the means,
Yeah.
because he says he does that stupid bad guy line where he's like, well, you have to destroy to be able to create. And the war, like that's when he's talking about Thrawn's war. So I don't think he's...
Maybe.
I don't know. But I can't put my finger on what his plan is, but I just, for whatever reason, I do not think it's to stay there.
I'll end with this. Balin seems to know a lot about Anakin.
That I want to know that too.
That
Why?
that would be perfect for
And
Tales of
maybe-
the Jedi
Maybe,
2.
well, that, or maybe we'll see.
But my question is, does Balin know about Luke and Leia?
I don't know.
Because
Does anyone?
obviously he knows about Luke and Leia.
I hope not.
But does he know that they're Anakin and Padme's kids?
Yeah,
I mean,
hope
at
not.
this point, it's probably already common knowledge.
I don't think it is.
I don't know that
Because it's not common knowledge that Vader is Anakin Skywalker.
that he's right. And in the EU,
But even if it's not even that big of a bombshell anymore because it's like it's done over with.
no, it is.
It's a
So in
pretty
the
big
book,
bombshell.
in the books,
The guy that you've been worshiping as a hero for destroying the Death Star, for killing the Emperor, for killing Darth Vader. Oh, actually, he's the son of all evil.
and the leader of the
He's-
rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Darth Vader is the enforcer of the Emperor's will. Everyone in the galaxy,
And he
up,
did so
down, and
much terrible
sideways.
shit.
Yeah,
He
he's-
really did.
As far as people know, he single-handedly killed all the Jedi.
Yeah. That's what.
And look at what happened in Kenobi. I have my issues with that show, but the Vader scenes
Where
in
he's
that
walking
show,
through the village and he just snaps people's
murdering
necks and
little
shit.
kids.
Yeah, kid.
Yeah. Dragging people's
Yeah.
body through
Yeah.
the street.
Like,
Everyone hates him.
yeah.
Everyone.
And to find out that they had even some sort of tangential relationship to Vader,
I think it's huge.
Would be
And
a big bump.
That is a storyline in the current books.
I
that
mean,
happens,
I guess you
but I
frame it
don't
that
think we're
way
there yet in the
with
timeline.
Leia, right?
Yes,
With Leia. Yeah.
But I'm assuming
if they know it with Leia, then they know it with
if
Luke.
they know
But
Leia's dad is Anakin Skywalker, it's not going to take a
But
genius.
my
to
question is,
figure
in
out.
that book, is Luke already a hermit?
No, he's not a hermit.
Okay.
Yet.
Anyway,
I haven't read the Bloodlines one, but
I would love to find out how Balin knows. I think we're going to see an Ahsoka Balin rematch, but I also
Absolutely.
Oh,
think,
yeah, that's
I
happening.
also think we're going to see a conversation before that, like a
sure.
a
I'd love to see a
like
flashback.
I
want a
respect you.
flashback so
I would love
bad.
to see that too. But I think, like, Balin fears and respects Ahsoka's ability as a Jedi, and has already mentioned like it'd be a shame to kill her. And I think that it's going to come to a like, hey, you fucking made it out to Peridea, and you're trying to fuck up this plan. I'm gonna have to kill you, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna shoot you straight. I'm gonna tell you, what I know about Anakin and how I know this, and they're going to have this kind of heart-to-heart, for lack of a
they're
better
going to
term.
monologue, and then she's just going to end up killing him. And
Well,
then
I don't
now
think
she
it's
knows
gonna
the
be
plan.
kills him. I really do.
I do hope she kills him as much as I...
Because Rey's
as
so
much as I
great.
love him, I don't want him to be lingering out
I
there.
agree.
And I think that... I hope it's not a Merrick-type duel. Like, I guess...
No
I don't
way.
know.
No way.
No,
I don't think it will
I
be.
think they got that duel out of the way. Like
I
the,
think
the
you've
one
done
shot
it twice
kill.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's done.
I
over
just
with.
think it's happening.
I hope it's and I guess I don't know what I want. I just hope it feels right.
Maybe it's
I
the
hope-
Sabine moment that I talked about where she finally
I don't
pulls
want
that
that.
lightsaber
No.
and saves
I don't want
Ahsoka.
that. No, I don't want that.
I think that's
hate.
definitely set up.
It's
fucking-
Hollywood. They're going to go for the tropes. They're going to go for the things that people
I
are.
don't know that necessarily they
I
are.
feel like it's set up. The more she stares at something like Silent Bob and Mallrats trying to move the cigarette with his mind, like I feel like that's
So
what
as much as I've argued that I do think she'll become a Jedi, I also think it's equally as possible that we never see her access any Force abilities.
I would be okay with that. I don't think that's
I
happening.
think Ahsoka telling Hu Yang, I don't want her to be a Jedi. I want her to be herself. I think that potentially that is foreshadowing of the fact that she's not going to be a Jedi, and we don't need her to be a Jedi.
I'm totally cool with that. I really am.
I still
But
think you can do really cool stuff with Ahsoka
Sure.
being her master and still going through the training. Like it's still, meditation and that sort of combat practice can have amazing benefits for you. But like,
Who's to say that she has to become a Jedi to make the Darksaber again to
Right, and I think
reunite
this-
Mandalore?
Yeah, maybe
again?
this is a totally different look at what it means to be a Jedi. And because,
Right.
I mean, like, Ahsoka doesn't... she practices the Jedi way because that's how she was raised from a fucking baby,
Yeah,
essentially.
it's a different perspective of the same
But-
lifestyle.
But at the same time, she doesn't want anything to do with the Jedi. She has all of this resentment, or maybe not resentment, but like she has a bad taste in her mouth from what happened with Barriss Offee and leaving the Jedi Order and leaving Anakin and what, like,
Oh, you're talking about Ahsoka. I was talking about
I'm talking about
Sabine.
Ahsoka. And so, like, I don't think that necessarily she is trying to rebuild the Jedi Order or train new Jedi.
Oh, I don't think so
or
either. I
anything.
think she's leaving that to Luke.
Right. I think she's trying to help her friend.
I agree.
I think it's about me and you. It's about the master and apprentice. And all I'm trying to do is help you as a friend. And I don't need you to be a Jedi, but I need you to be disciplined. I need you to
harness your chi.
I need you to try
figure it out.
And I need you to understand that, like, it's the journey. Like, it's not the destination.
I'm down
I think
with that.
That's a different lesson that we could learn for Sabine.
I'm down with that. I feel like they're putting it on a TV.
And she could still call herself a Jedi, but it could just redefine how we look at necessarily what a Jedi is or what that means. I don't know.
Final thoughts for the episode.
I fucking love it, man.
I think episode 5 is going to be
nuts.
Very, very big. Like, I think this is probably going to define the rest of the series for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as we already kind of discussed, if they're releasing it in theaters, there's got to be some saga, series, story defining moment that happens here.
I will say, I think the action that we got in episode 1, which is the only other episode that Filoni directed, not on par with what we got in episode 4, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he also directed the pilot to Mandalorian. So,
which is another perfect episode of Star Wars. Like,
perfect.
Yeah.
So
the last part of that episode, as Ahsoka turns around and she sees Anakin, I had an emotional response. I was literally tears in my eyes because we got to see that interaction again. And it's been a long time since I've had an emotional reaction like that to media.
Yeah, I feel nothing.
And
I recognize that I was supposed to have an emotional reaction.
But it was
dead inside.
It was a really good moment. And I remember just sitting there as the music was playing, just having this moment, and it was because you're rewarded for everything that's happened up to this. Like, if you've put the time into Rebels and Bad Batch and Clone Wars.
It was definitely
it was a payoff moment, and
you're not the only person I've seen say that, and I think it was definitely huge to see. It was huge to see Ahsoka in live action in The Mandalorian, and then it was now this is huge to hear "Hello Snips" from Hayden Christensen from live action, albeit kind of ghostly de-aged.
There's a lot of
as much as I hate that. I like that nickname doesn't bother me as much as Sky Guy. Obviously, I'm still not a big fan of it because that kind of I don't know. This is a lame excuse, but the attachment, kind of thing that giving somebody a nickname.
Are you talking about how the Jedi aren't supposed to have attachment in that show?
And Anakin's clearly
the
not
Jedi are
that
all
way.
fucking hypocrites.
Yeah, they are.
100%.
All of them have attachments, especially to Padawans.
Obi-Wan was banging on the side.
I was about to bring that up. Obi-Wan was definitely
He's got a tattoo of Satine on his ass.
What Mama don't know.
But my final thought about Ahsoka so far this season, excellent.
Yeah, very, very good. I will say, as much as I love it, Andor, man, did something to me. It just showed me that there's
It's totally
Star
different.
Wars. It is. There's not a single lightsaber in it, unless you count the ones on the spaceship. But
it's great.
I love it for completely different reasons that I love this show. And if you're hating on this, calm the fuck down. Get over it. It's great.
All right, should we move to the next section of this little show?
I think it's about time.
Kick it.
Milk kill. Milk kill. Milk kill. Milk kill.
So the mailbag or mail call or whatever we actually call this segment.
I think it's actually mail call, but we call it something
we
wrong
all say
every
something
time.
different every time. But this is where you guys have a chance to send us your questions, comments, on occasion hate mail, and we will respond to you if we want. And that is the bottom line there, if we want. So I'm going to kick it off because I have one that I was supposed to ask last week. Or last time we recorded, from a follower on Instagram. This is just a genuine new friend out in the wild. I don't know if he wants me to use his real name, so I'm going to use his Instagram handle of CEO of Idiots Inc.
And I think we'll get along with him very well.
Yeah, he sounds like a cool dude.
Yeah.
He said, I'll just read it. He says, "Hello, is this one of the options to ask questions and thoughts for the podcast?" Absolutely, it is, Mr. CEO. And he said, if so, I have a question. What would you say are the top 5 series and or movies on Netflix?
Ooh, man.
Oh,
so
top 5. That's a whole episode.
I
agree.
I initially looked at this as the top 5 Netflix properties, like Netflix originals.
Oh, but
I
what's
don't know if it just
available?
means, what you can watch right now. So, do you guys have any? We could maybe approach it. I don't know if we'll be able to do a top 5. Like you said, that's a whole episode, but we could give you some good ones from both perspectives.
I mean,
Okay.
number one, if we're talking series, probably still Breaking Bad.
I was going to say, if we're talking about not originals, but just available
Right.
on there, Breaking Bad.
I will tell
Better
you
Call
that
Saul.
that's what I watched Dread on.
Oh, it's on
yeah,
Netflix
it's
again?
on Netflix again.
Oh,
So,
nice. That must have literally
it
been
is,
right after the episode because
Yeah.
I looked up that day. So let me see. Netflix
pretty sure that's
best
right.
series or movies. Yes, I'm Googling it.
I'm throwing out there. I know. Here comes my hate mail. I really enjoyed the Cowboy Bebop series.
Okay.
I didn't watch the anime, so I don't get mad at me. But I thought I really wish someone could give me a good explanation on why it was so terrible. I mean, it was campy at times, but it's based on an anime. What
Yeah.
do you want?
That being said, apparently, I brought this up a few weeks ago that there's a One Piece adaptation, which is an anime adaptation.
Yeah, apparently it's a big deal right now.
Apparently, it's fucking great and it's blowing up. So maybe that one.
It's a series, right?
It is a series.
Yeah.
As far as Netflix originals go, one that I'll say, and however you feel about Kevin Spacey, I guess, will dictate how you feel about the show. But House of Cards.
See, I need to give that another shot.
House of Cards is pretty fucking good. And
I
now,
started it and did not.
I
get
have
too
not
far in.
finished the whole series. I'll say that, but I the first I think 3 seasons of it are incredible. Really, really good stuff. So that's a good one. Mindhunter is another great one for a Netflix original. The Umbrella Academy. Is another,
I
especially
love Umbrella
nerd,
Academy.
especially
Yeah.
nerd property there.
Yeah.
Based on a comic book written by Gerard
The
Way.
third season was
My
pretty
Chemical
good,
Romance,
but the
yeah.
first 2 were, man, fantastic. I love that show.
Really,
yeah, the
really
most recent season wasn't that good, but yeah. All right, so I'll shoot off my top 5 here real quick from Netflix. I mean, we already did Breaking Bad, so I can't do that one.
Sure you can.
But Love, Death, and Robots,
Okay.
Black Mirror,
Oh, right.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
tried
of course.
that too much either.
The Movies That Made Us, The Toys That Made Us,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
and then Tiger King.
Those are both things I need to watch. I did watch Tiger King.
I think I watched the majority of Tiger King.
Oh, and then since I'll combine the Movies That Made Us and the Toys That Made Us, and then the last one is the Drive to Survive for F1. But what I love about Tiger King is that I got involved in the Tiger King controversy. A little
Do you know where Carol Baskin's husband is?
Yeah, well, he's actually he actually survived, and he was down in South America.
Yeah, he's alive.
Yeah, and I think that was like actually confirmed too. But when Tiger King came out, I was stationed in California, and COVID happened, and so we were on lockdown. So I had nothing to do. So I made a music video. and it was I did a cover of "I Saw a Tiger" because it was such a catchy
Is this
song.
on YouTube?
No, because I had it on YouTube,
Oh, I think you told me about this.
but I got a cease and desist letter from the original writers of that music that
Oh,
said.
wow.
I said, you have to take it down. We are not allowing anybody to have any covers of us up.
Damn.
So,
I kind of thought that was fair, whatever the copyright
Use or
fair
whatever.
use, yeah, to cover music, but especially when you're not making any money from it.
yeah, up to a point. But ultimately, the artists themselves can say, no, we want first rights.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I got a copyright strike. I got a ban from a distributor.
Wow.
Even though I went through the distributor, I paid the fee and everything. I was more pissed that I paid the fee and the distributor
Yeah.
didn't have my back.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh well, no, because you got a copyright strike. We're putting this on you. Like, well, you're the bitches that fucking let it happen. But I'll show you the video here.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and it was actually a really good version of the song.
We'll watch it, and I'll just describe what's happening and I'll sing it.
Oh no, I'll sing it. You
Okay,
describe.
sing. Okay.
Okay, I gotta.
No, I'm
bring
kidding.
it.
No,
We're
we're not doing-
absolutely
we're
not
definitely
doing
not
that.
doing
We're
that.
gonna watch that later. But
We'll put the link in the description.
we won't because we'll get sued. But Extraction is another good Netflix original movie
Yeah.
there that I really like. We've
Both
talked
of them
about,
are good.
We've talked about
Action
them both.
porn. Yeah.
They're both probably worth a watch at the very least.
I can't speak on it because I haven't watched the whole thing, but my wife absolutely loved Ozark.
I was gonna say Ozark is another huge one. that
Narcos.
everybody
I like the
loves.
first season of Narcos a lot.
Yep. What else we got here? Oh, the other one I was going to mention. I think Jimmy's maybe watched this. Is You on Netflix?
Oh yeah, that is good.
You is really good.
Really
and Badgley is really good.
Oh man,
So-
did you watch the newest season?
Yeah. Yep. I'm all up to speed on that.
man.
Really good. So thanks for the question, Mr.
Yeah.
CEO of Idiots Inc.
Yeah, good stuff.
Keep them coming. I appreciate it.
I have one that's Ahsoka related because I know we want to
That
talk about
seems
that some
relevant.
more.
Yeah.
This is from the hotel clerk. He asks, any chances they're setting up Ahsoka and Sabine to echo an Obi-Wan and Anakin style arc? So we kind of talked about that.
Like where one falls to the dark side, and
I
And then
kind of
cuts off
like
the
it.
other's legs and arms. And
you
and
were
their
my
murders
you were my
children.
sister, Sabine.
I like I talked about, I think it would be really cool if the way Sabine realizes her connection to the Force is through the dark side,
Right.
but then
That's
they
the way it clicks
redeem
for her.
her. I think that would be a cool take that we haven't seen yet. Whereas the only other example that I could come up with was Savage Opress, who is Darth Maul's brother. And I mean, you just knew from the beginning he's going to be a bad guy, and he was
Yeah.
trained from the beginning to be
Yeah.
a bad guy. Obviously, from the movies, we know that Darth Maul is bad, the Emperor is bad, but we don't know anything about their upbringing in the movies. Now, we
Yeah.
do get that in the Darth Plagueis book, but in the visual media that I'm talking about.
yeah.
So I think that would be
'Cause
cool.
another one in the other extended media would be like Darth Revan, right? Or does he go the opposite way?
Correct,
He
but
goes-
that's EU stuff.
yeah. That's
so
what
that's
what I'm saying though, but not in the
Right.
media that we've seen on
Right.
in real.
yeah. So the Disney continuity, and again, I'm not too connected into what's going on in the comics now because I usually wait till the trade to read them. But that's that.
Okay.
Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
I don't think we'll see like that far into
I'm
it.
inclined to think they will end this series on good terms.
Yeah,
The
On the same
series
team.
for sure. The season, I'd like to think yes, but I could make an
We'll see.
argument.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, it's good thought.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Good question. Thank you, hotel clerk.
Anything else?
I've got one from one of our previous writers and viewers and submitters.
Friends of the show?
Yes, that one. This is from Viking11. The title of the email is Jimmy is still a cunt.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
What?
Is
Is
this
this
for
a
hate mail?
second edition of hate mail?
No.
Oh.
No. He says kidding, but I do have some questions.
Okay.
Oh, that means like I still believe you're a cunt, but here's some stuff to
But I got a
distract
question
from
anyway.
No, he's a good friend.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It's not a no.
Yeah. So he says, what secret that turned out not to be a secret annoyed you the most? For him, it was in Batman Arkham Knight and Star Trek Into Darkness, where they were introducing new characters only to find out they weren't new at all. So for like example, in Arkham Knight, turned out to be Jason Todd was Red Hood / Death in the Family, and John Harrison turned out to be Khan, Star Trek in the original series. Both were denied that such characters were in, and then surprise, they were. So what secret turned out not to be a secret that annoyed you the most?
I wasn't too annoyed by the Jason Todd one in Arkham, I guess, since I guess I'll talk about the Batman thing. Weird, but because like I also knew that was going to happen. Like I 100% from everything that was going on when like it was being released, like trailers and everything, I was like, well, this is Jason Todd. Like it makes no sense. They're not just making some original character. And like, no, we are. It's not Jason Todd. I swear. I'm like, it's Jason Todd. Like you're wrong. I know you're full of shit. And then it was. So, but that wasn't as annoying to me, but I'm trying to think of another one that actually like pissed me off, because even I'm not even a Star Trek dude, but even I knew the Khan one. I was like, well, this has got to be, if we're doing like a Star Trek sequel and it's this and it's probably Khan, but I'm trying to think. You got one, B?
No, I got nothing.
One that annoyed me is the Walking Dead series, where towards the end, I think around season 8 or season 9, somewhere around there, maybe 6. One of those later seasons, they kill off Rick, and he's on a bridge, and the bridge explodes, and then boom, he's not there, and there's always just been this like, oh no, he's dead, but everybody knows he's alive. They're going to bring him back at some point, and then they do eventually bring him back in like season 12 or something like that. And you know,
There's that many.
oh yeah,
I quit a long time
there's
ago.
so much Walking Dead. That universe is huge. And then along those same lines too, I found out recently something that made me upset about the Walking Dead series as well is that it's aliens. The whole reason for the virus is aliens. Aliens put the virus on the planet because they want the planet for themselves.
Really?
And Robert Kirkman has
They talk about that in the TV show.
I'm not sure if they talk about it in the TV show, but somebody asked him and he said aliens. And he confirmed it.
That
aliens.
sounds like a smart ass comment. Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, and it's like there's never going to be a cure because the aliens put this on there, and that's their way of taking over. And so that like just like took out like my whole like interest for the series, because I love the series as a whole, and we started rewatching a couple months ago just because. But like knowing that, because I was like, so where did the virus come from? And I Googled that, and then it brought me that Kirkman thing, and I was like, huh, interesting. So now it just kind of deflates everything. But I mean, I still like the universe, but that I would say that would be my secrets that pissed me off.
Since you brought it up, I mean, in real life, aliens.
That's the biggest secret, non-secret for you?
Yeah, I mean, no shit.
Okay.
And now they're just like, oh yeah, I can't talk about it, but yeah, we got that.
I'm trying to think here. I'm looking up some other options in here, but this is a spoiler for Knives Out. That Chris Evans was the bad guy, I guess, in that movie. I was like, well, he's very clearly the bad guy in this movie, but I still really love that movie. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
it's
guys
good.
have seen it.
I liked
but-
it.
The original or the first Knives Out?
Yeah, I haven't
First
seen
Knives Out
Glass
with
Onion
Chris
yet.
Evans and
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that was like a secret that spoiled anything. It was
no, that's
Well, I mean,
not.
it totally spoils it.
No,
if
but
you
it was
haven't seen
like-
the movie.
Well, yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
a spoiler for sure. But
Yeah, well, yeah,
what I mean is
yeah.
that like they were burying the lead on who the killer was, but like it was not, and you don't necessarily know that he's the killer, but like like this dude's fucking up
Yeah,
to something.
he's a
Like
dick.
there's something I don't know, but anyway.
I thought that was just part of the murder mystery.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
typical murder mystery
Oh, this
of
is a
a
tough
whodunit.
question.
Yeah.
This is a tough question. I don't know. I can't think of one like a secret where you were supposed to know, like maybe some disappointing reveals where it's like, oh, that's not really that special. I guess like we could talk about Smoking Aces where it's like Freeman Heller is
Yeah.
Primo Speranza. Like he ends up being the mob boss, the undercover FBI agent, because it's like they foreshadow it so hard and it's supposed to be this big reveal, but
Or pretty much anything that happens in The Flash.
Well, I think more
Just
to his
sucked.
question, like where like the owners of the media are denying it, like, oh no, that's not a thing, and then it turns out to be a thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
that's what I'm
that-
saying. Like
yeah.
it's hard to find one like that. Like he named two of the most prominent
Yeah.
ones of those.
I,
so-
Yeah.
I'm not pissed about it, but Marvel did a great job of smoke and mirrors with their trailers for like Endgame and Infinity War. I'm not mad about those at all because
Well, yeah, it is interesting. I guess, okay, No Way Home. They denied up and down
Oh.
that Toby and Andrew were going to be in the
Oh,
movie.
that
They
is true.
edited-
Feels
they
like the
edited
worst
trailers.
liar ever.
They
Yeah.
edited the trailers. Tom was one of the fucking worst.
yeah.
in
But
that.
again, I was not mad about it.
No, I'm not mad about it either. So I don't know if that fits necessarily what he wants, but it's like
That's kind of the
course
inverse
they're in
of
it.
that, right?
Of
Yeah.
course they're in it.
I mean, even too, Ahsoka here, Hayden Christensen. Up until recently, he was like, no, I'm not in Ahsoka. I'm not in Ahsoka.
I didn't think so. I thought when they, I'm pretty sure IMDb when the pilot dropped, he was listed on the.
yeah, that's just speculation. That has nothing to do
okay.
with actual
Never mind then.
like.
Yeah, and like they would like point blank ask him. He's like, nah.
Every time you
not
search
in
a
it.
Marvel
Yeah.
title that is yet to be released on there, like Robert Downey Jr. is listed and shit like that.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause he's in the credits
he's in
at the
all of
beginning.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, that's
But yeah, that's a good
No Way
question.
Home. That's our answer.
Yeah.
there.
No. Yeah, that is
Again,
that
not
is-
mad about it though.
No, it was good. So
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Viking 1-1. And I'm sorry you think I'm still a cunt.
yeah,
Yeah.
great one there.
Yeah. Just don't shoot yourself in the foot anymore.
For those keeping score at home, 2 for Jimmy is a cunt, and yeah.
Yeah. What do you got? You got any other?
Okay, one quick one here. Okay, we got a fuck, marry, kill from Tio. Finnick Shand, Morgan Elsbeth, Shen Hadi.
What? Gross.
Ooh,
There's two of them that I have no interest in there.
You gotta play the game. That's the rule.
I know.
That's
I'm
the
just
rules.
saying, it's just.
Thanks, Tio.
See this?
I did. Did you see my
Xenophon?
response?
No. Sorry, we were laughing at something that Xenophon the Discipline posted on our Twitter. Anyway, so fuck, marry, kill between Fennec Shand. That's Boba Fett's assassin
hand.
friend,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I would probably. I think I'm gonna kill Elsbeth.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna
Yep.
marry Fennec and fuck Shin.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's the right order because Finnick seems like the most like down to earth.
As like even keel of all of those people.
Yeah.
Like one is an absolute. She's a witch. She's a Night Sister witch. I don't want none of that.
Yeah.
And then Shin is like I said, razor's edge from fucking the dark side and like force choking you to death. So I think that's just like you take the opportunity to have the wild
wild night,
encounter
yeah,
that you
so-
could with her.
So your wild oats.
You
Yep.
fucking thank your lucky stars that you survived it, and then you go marry Fennec
move
Shand.
far, far away.
Yeah, you go to Peridia.
Yeah, or Channel.
Get away from her.
So, are you both in agreement on that?
Yeah,
then?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
Just
agree
to
with
be
that.
different, I'm gonna still kill Morgan.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then.
I'm gonna bang. I'm gonna bang Fennec. I'm gonna marry Shin, just in the hopes that I get it in at least one more time before she kills me for banging Fennec. So,
All right. I'm going to fuck, marry, and kill Morgan Elsbeth.
and
In that order.
totally ignore the other two.
Dark side, bitches.
All right. Cool. Well,
right.
thank you, everybody. I hope we didn't ramble too much for you and that we provided some actual sort of interesting analysis and commentary on what is a very good show, and I'm very excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So, safety brief. Put a pin in it. What do we got, Jimmy?
Yeah. Well, as always, please remember to check out our socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We're like
We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're like the clap in Korea. We're everywhere. Let's see. Diablo 4 still going strong on Diablo 4.
Don't go to Tijuana, but I will say that I recently dug out a box of my old mask toys.
Oh yeah.
I saw you
and let
send
my
that
kids
message.
play with them, and they loved it. And
Because
my
they're fucking awesome.
7-year-old was like, "Dad, is this like a show or a cartoon?" And I'm like, "Well, as a matter of fact,
As a
yes, it
matter
is."
of fact.
Yeah.
So I pulled up.
Let's
the
go
first,
back in time
pulled
to far before you were born.
pulled up the first episode on YouTube, and he started watching it and didn't make it through the title song. And he's like, "Yeah, no, this is terrible." I'm like, "Yeah, but look at all the cool toys. Just suffer through it like I
You
did."
have to watch this commercial for toys like I did back
Yeah.
in the
Their
day.
secret base
This 30
is a
minutes.
volcano and a gas station. What more do
Yeah.
you want? But yeah, so that's all I got. I
Yeah.
did pre-order Spider-Man 2, so I'm probably gonna get a talking to
You're
about
fucking
that tomorrow.
way behind, but good for you.
No, but I did it.
Only reason for the PS5 right there for now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, eventually I'll make my way to Starfield, but I got to make it through Diablo 4 right
Yeah.
now. That's my game. I got to finish Diablo 4 and then I can move on.
Yeah.
So we have some like Star Wars pajamas for the littlest of little
Nice.
ones that we actually got gifted from a friend, and so it's got like Darth Vader and C-3PO and R2-D2 and Chewbacca and I don't know, a couple Yoda and a couple other characters on there, and one of my daughters was asking like, who's this and who's that, and then the other one was like answering all these questions before I was.
Oh.
And like, I was like, huh? What the hell? And my wife's like, how do you know so much about Star Wars? And she's like, well, I've watched it with Dad. And I was like, I guess you have watched, like, you've watched some Clone Wars with me when I was going through it. And you've watched like some Mandalorian with me and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I think I need to like sit down and actually
really
some,
watch
like,
this. Yeah.
some Star Wars with them. So I think I'm going to try that at some
Hell
point
yes.
in the near future. And then I'm probably going to try and get back into God of War.
Nice.
I've been aching to play it, and I'm getting close to, I think, what is probably the ending and a confrontation with Odin. But I'm also trying to build up, be as strong as I can before I get there. So do a bunch of side missions and shit. But that's pretty much all I got.
What's your
planned.
favorite of the three main weapons? What's your
I
favorite?
did just get the drop near spear.
That's fucking awesome.
It's
I
super
love
cool.
that thing.
I wasn't sure like when they brought up Dropnir and the ring, that all that shit from the mythology. I was like, where's that? What is this going to? But like to have a weapon that like basically Dropnir is a ring that magically duplicates itself every day, and it's part of like how Odin is so like has so much wealth and power. And in this continuity, in this story, a couple of the what are they? Are they're
Dwarves?
Dwarves?
They dwarves?
Yeah, I don't
they're
know.
dwarves. Yeah, they're dwarves.
Yeah, from they steal Dropnir and hide it. But then when Kratos needs a weapon to fight a god, they take it and they go to a special
Hemdall, right?
Yeah, to fight
Yeah.
Heimdall. They go to a special person who can forge the weapon, to a special blacksmith, and she forges basically a self-replicating spear out of Dropnir, so that like it is contained in the size of a ring, and when he wants it, it comes out, and then he can just endlessly throw the spear at different enemies, and has a whole bunch of different stuff. That's really cool. But I think my favorite is still probably the Leviathan axe.
I agree, but it's new and shiny, and I love it. So.
It's cool. I also love the fucking
Blades of Chaos.
Because sometimes just smashing people with those is fucking cool.
Oh, I agree.
So I'm excited to get back into it.
Yeah.
Is that all we got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's all we got. Roll the outro.
In the immortal words of the great philosopher, keep your chin up, stick your chest out, and handle Apocalypse.
Geek Battalion out.